After moving in with the boss, our relationship got exposed in a company meeting. I was singled out for criticism by the management in the employee assembly. The leader said someone had reported issues with my work attitude and demanded an immediate explanation. My face was displayed on the large screen at the meeting, putting me on the spot in front of everyone. Just as I was feeling overwhelmed, the CEO's face appeared on my screen. "What is the issue? Let me hear it." "Attention, residents, due to a case of infectious disease within the community, we are now implementing quarantine measures. Please do not panic, staff will soon arrive to conduct health checks at your door." I repeat. Standing at my boss's front door, I bit my lip and rang the doorbell. He opened the door, looking annoyed, clad in a bathrobe. "What now?" he asked, visibly irritated. I had already interrupted his shower once when I came by to deliver files, and now I was doing it again. Sneaking a glance at his slightly exposed chest muscles, I stammered, "Management just announced the community is now quarantined, so no one is allowed in or out." He raised an eyebrow. And, grinning nervously, I asked, "So could I maybe stay at your place for a few days?" Their high-end neighborhood management was ruthless during quarantine. Outside residents could only stay at the neighborhood hotel. The rate? $888 per night, no bargaining allowed. Suddenly, my otherwise insufferable boss seemed like a much friendlier option. "No," he said curtly, starting to shut the door. I grabbed the door handle, pleading, "You can't do this. I've devoted myself to you and the company. You can't just abandon me." Just then, an older woman walked by with her dog and, noticing our exchange, couldn't help but comment, "Young man, be responsible. Don't be a scumbag." Through the narrow gap, I caught a glimpse of my boss's face, darkened with displeasure. Whether from the neighbor's moral rebuke or his own conscience, he finally let me in. Sitting on the living room couch, I watched as he, now dressed in casual clothes, sat across from me, exuding a chilly aura. "You can stay," he said, his tone still sour, "but you won't be freeloading. Normally, I have a housekeeper who handles cleaning and cooking. Now that she's locked out, you'll be taking over." I nodded enthusiastically. "Of course. No problem at all." My boss's face softened a bit, though I wasn't exactly skilled with housework. Luckily, his place had user-friendly appliances, so things were manageable until I entered the kitchen. Fresh out of college, I had barely cooked for myself. But I felt confident. Cooking is just about throwing this and that together and stirring, right? I spent 2 hours watching online tutorials and pulled out an assortment of ingredients from his fridge, ready to impress. But as flames started rising from the stovetop, things spun out of control. In my panic, I accidentally cranked the heat up. The oil in the pan whooshed into flames. Just as I stared helplessly at the burning oil, a strong hand wrapped around my waist, pulling me back. It was my boss. I blinked, dazed, as he quickly turned off the stove and smothered the fire with a lid. Then he looked at me. I thought, this is it. I'm done for. The last secretary who spilled coffee while serving him with her left hand was fired on the spot. After that incident, everyone in the office kept their distance, afraid to accidentally offend him. This delivery job had been passed around until it landed with me. And now, I nearly burned down his kitchen. Surely I was finished. After a tense silence, he finally spoke. "Are you hurt?" I shook my head, looking a bit dejected. He sighed. "Fine. Just don't let it happen again." I looked up in shock. Just a warning. My boss was actually being lenient? Not at all like the heartless figure my colleagues had described. Feeling both grateful and guilty, I offered, "I'm sorry, boss. I just need more practice. Let me try again." Ignoring me, he shooed me out of the kitchen, deciding to cook himself. I couldn't help sneaking a few glances as he rolled up his sleeves, looking both dignified and down to earth even in a Hello Kitty apron. Thanks to his culinary skills, I ended up with a delicious meal. I couldn't resist having a second helping, giving him a thumbs up between bites. Finally, he seemed pleased. "Eat slow or no one's going to take it from you." After that, the kitchen was off limits to me. 3 days passed quickly. Today was the monthly company meeting, where every department head presented their reports. Since I couldn't go to the office, I requested to join via video. Yawning, I half listened as the VP gave his opening remarks. Normally, these meetings were meant for the execs, they had little to do with me. But unexpectedly, I was called out. Our department manager's sharp voice rang out. Recently, we received a report that certain employees falsely claimed their community was under quarantine to work from home. This behavior is appalling and sets a poor example. Su Qingqing, explain yourself right now. I snapped to attention, shocked to see my sleepy face displayed on the big screen. Sitting up, I stammered, Manager, I didn't lie. My community really is under quarantine. Still making excuses? He demanded harshly. I checked, and the only quarantined community is Thompson Epeen. Are you saying you live there? Our CEO lives in Thompson Epeen. Are you his neighbor? Flustered, I had no idea how to respond. Our CEO, Pei Qian, wasn't he just anyone, he was a billionaire. And I was just an ordinary worker. Thompson Epeen was famously exclusive. If I were the manager, I wouldn't believe it, either. Smirking, my manager was ready to label me a liar. But then, he suddenly froze, staring wide-eyed as if caught mid-squawk. I, too, was stunned, watching as a familiar figure appeared on screen. Pei Qian leaned against my door, casually dressed in his bathrobe. Su Qingqing, he called, where did you put my underwear in the bathroom? Chapter 2, Rumor has it we slept together. Silence. An extended, suffocating silence. In the meeting room, everyone who had been dozing off, fiddling with their phones, or counting on their fingers suddenly straightened up, staring intently at the screen. I even noticed a few people sneakily raising their phones to record. I glanced back at my boss, then at the screen, where my supervisor's face was frozen in shock. After a moment's hesitation, I said, I put them in the bedroom cabinet, right next to the bed. The supervisor's expression only worsened. My boss, apparently just realizing I was in a meeting, leaned in, staring directly at the supervisor on the screen. Were you just questioning Su Qingqing's work ethic? He asked. What issue exactly? I'd like to hear it. I'll admit, he sounded almost like he was defending me. But I swear on my rapidly receding hairline he was simply curious. Maybe even a little amused. The supervisor, however, seemed to misinterpret his words. She immediately stood up and bowed repeatedly toward the camera. Mr. Pei, I apologize. I didn't know you and Su Qingqing were living together. Then there's no problem here, right? Pei Qian glanced at his watch. The meeting has gone on long enough, let us wrap it up. Su Qingqing has other things to attend to. The supervisor wasted no time in ending the video call, as if staying a second longer would make her spontaneously combust. Meanwhile, the office gossip chat had already exploded. So, does this mean Su Qingqing is living with the boss? This is too juicy. He asked about his underwear. It's gotta be true, right? You all heard him, she has other things to attend to. In a private home. Do the math. This chat's not private, you know. She's in here. She never talks anyway, probably muted us. Pretending she had no connections, acting like a nobody all this time. She's tougher than we thought. I bet Madam Supervisor is panicking. Of course. The boss defended her. Supervisor could be out tomorrow. She always picks on people with no pull. About time karma came knocking. Couldn't he agree more? People called our supervisor the mistress in secret, a nickname with no love lost. Not everyone was supportive, though. Some comments took a meaner tone. Shushi, some people actually think she's the boss's girlfriend. Didn't they just say they're living together? Shushi, please. As if the boss would ever look at someone like her. Shushi was a new hire, rumored to be a relative of a board member. Even the supervisor kept her voice down around her, so people tended to believe what she said. Then why did he stand up for her? Shushi, it's obvious, pillow talk. Shushi, definitely not his girlfriend. He wouldn't stoop so low. Shushi, most likely, someone took advantage of a document delivery to throw herself at him. Seriously? I thought Su Qingqing seemed so down to earth. Didn't he expect this side of her? Shushi, just an act. We were in the same college, her reputation was always a bit iffy. I even heard she was two-timing. Wait, your college classmates? Weren't you in the Ivy League? Is her background that good? Shushi, high education isn't everything, still an airhead. Shushi, enough about her. Bad vibes. Look at my new bag. While I was still processing the chat gossip, Pei Qian's voice broke my concentration. What are you standing around for? Get to cleaning. I turned to him, my gaze earnest. Boss, rumor has it we slept together. Pei Qian's steps faltered. Who would say that? Outrageous. I nodded earnestly. Exactly. How could they slander our pure professional relationship? Pei Qian raised an eyebrow. Why would they think I'd even consider you? In that moment, I could swear I saw a hint of genuine confusion in his eyes. I spoke, filled with humiliation. Yes, boss, they are insulting your taste. But, I ventured carefully, could it be that your sudden appearance did, well, lend itself to a certain interpretation? I mean, here we are, one man and one woman, under one roof. With your towering intellect, movie star looks, and regal aura, 90% of women would fall for you. Pei Qian's expression twitched, eyeing me with suspicion. Could it be you're harboring feelings for me? Growing up abroad, he evidently lacked the grasp of idioms to realize how absurdly flattering this sounded. I realized I'd overdone it and quickly waved it off. I wouldn't dare. I hold nothing but deep respect for you. Good. Like any shrewd boss, he dangled a carrot. Keep working hard. I read your report better than your supervisor that's for sure. I considered this, sensing he was hinting that I could, with effort, replace my supervisor and be the next Madam Supervisor. Not exactly my dream. Still, I thanked him. Thanks for sticking up for me today. What, let you get yelled at? Pei Qian glanced at me sideways. Stuck here because of work, and on top of that accused of being lazy? What kind of sense is that? Don't overthink it. His tone softened for a moment. Your brain is small enough as it is, think any harder, and it LL fry. By now, I was used to his backhanded compliments and didn't bother refuting them. I obediently went to start cleaning. Cleaning, in this case, involved switching on the robotic vacuum and watching it wander around. The gossip group was still buzzing, so I set it on mute and focused on some files Pei Qian had sent over. While we were in isolation, work still had to get done. For the past few days, I had no choice but to share his study as a workspace. Any urgent documents or last-minute edits were up to me, and as a result, we were constantly face to face. Every time he coughed, I was there with water. It was 24-hour, full service, on-call overtime. But though their workload was intense, it wasn't all bad. I had access to several new projects. In this line of work, the more exposure, the better. After all, a bit of drudgery today could mean a promotion and raise tomorrow. So I dove into work, unaware that my co-workers were already treating me like I'd gained insider status, treading carefully around me with newfound respect. Chapter 3, Are You Tempted? The next day, when I got up, Pei Qian was already dressed impeccably, waiting at the dining table. I was slightly dazzled by his looks, feeling a bit odd, but I didn't dare ask, so I just focused on finishing my porridge quickly. I stayed up late handling files yesterday, and slept in this morning. Since the study was only a few steps from the bedroom, I decided to catch a few extra minutes of sleep. Now, though, there were only 10 minutes until work started. Normally, the boss doesn't like tardiness, and Mr. Pei likely wouldn't be an exception. My plan was simple: finish breakfast quickly and get to the study. Pei Qian had already eaten and didn't seem in any hurry to head to the study or start on work. He watched me eat for a while and then suddenly said, "We're out of groceries. Go to the neighborhood supermarket later and pick some things up." I blinked, caught off guard, and replied instinctively, "Why? Last time I checked, the fridge was still full." He shot me a look of distaste, and I got it, my face reddened. True, I did eat a bit more because the boss's cooking was so good. "But, sir, I don't know where the neighborhood supermarket is," I said in a small voice. "I do," Pei Qian replied with a steely tone, already walking toward the door. "I'll take you there this time, but next time, you're on your own." That's when I realized what had been odd about him that morning. He was wearing a dark casual outfit usually, even when working from home. He'd wear something comfortable and laid back. After being in lockdown for so many days, the neighborhood was about to lift restrictions. So where was this next time coming from? As I muttered quietly to myself, Pei Qian turned, his face dark. "What did you say?" "Nothing," I quickly said, taking the chance to flatter him. "I was just thinking how considerate you are. You're the best boss." Following behind him, I began complimenting him with every step. Pei Qian's expression softened a bit. That's more like it. I felt a glimmer of hope and recalled an online article about 100 phrases to compliment your boss. I figured this was a prime chance to put it to use. Sir, you're as distinguished as you are talented. You're my idol, I just want to learn from you. I felt the bright future beckoning. But Pei Qian's reaction wasn't as enthusiastic as I'd hoped. He only picked up his pace, so I sped up to keep up, a bit anxious. Had I said something that reminded him of his recent time abroad and somehow hit a sore spot? We arrived at the neighborhood supermarket, which had a faint disinfectant smell. I finally got a good look at his expression, which was normal, and let out a small sigh of relief. A bit rattled, I tried to break the silence by introducing some items only found locally. Pei Qian listened but didn't put anything in the basket. I wanted to add items myself but didn't dare. I eventually fell silent, and Pei Qian frowned. Why do you stop? Keep talking. It seemed like he wanted a full catalog introduction. Just then, a notification came and it was Shitai, calling for a meeting. For the first time, I was actually happy about a meeting. I quickly held up my phone. Sir, I need to join this meeting. Pei Qian's gaze was unfriendly. After a pause, he finally said, Fine. Go ahead. Thank you, sir. I left the supermarket with my phone, feeling like the wind, and on the way, several new notifications popped up. Documents this time. Boss, organize these documents. Boss, weren't you keen on learning? He wasn't wrong. I gritted my teeth and typed back, Understood, sir. But somehow, I got the feeling he was getting back at me. What did I even do wrong? Back at the study, I joined the meeting, which was already underway. Normally, this would be Shitai's golden opportunity to single me out for criticism, but today was different. Qingqing has been working so hard these days, even while in isolation. Everyone should learn from her dedication, she said with a strained smile, a couple of colleagues chiming in supportively. I nodded, looking earnestly at Shitai on the screen. So, can I get a raise, Maram? Shitai choked, her lips trembling for a long while before stammering, that would be up to the boss. Well, you've already moved in with him, why are you still after a raise? Xu Xi's voice suddenly cut in, with a mocking tone. Afraid you can't keep him? I tilted my head, looking directly at her. Oh? Are you tempted? Want to join the lockdown and make it a trio? Xu Xi's expression soured, like she'd just swallowed a fly. Some colleagues stifled a laugh, quickly muting themselves as Xu Xi's face turned various shades of red and green. Not everyone is as shameless as you. She spat before her screen went black as she exited the meeting. Watching an employee leave mid-meeting, Shitai's expression soured even further. She mumbled something and quickly ended the meeting. I shrugged, opening a design report. I'd prepared to review it. Deeply engrossed in my work, I suddenly heard Pei Qian's voice behind me, sounding disapproving. Why are you looking at that report? Who wrote this? I jumped and looked back at him. Is it good? Pei Qian replied dismissively, It's terrible. It's messy here, lacks logic, he pointed at the screen, underlining a few areas. And here you should use bullet points. Watching him edit the report so effortlessly, I reviewed it with a newfound clarity. Well, it looks like they have potential. Pei Qian handed me the pen. If they could tidy up their writing, it could make a strong report. I couldn't help but chuckle. Pei Qian looked at me, confused. What's funny? Nothing, sir. I hurried to pour him more coffee. It's just no surprise you're the boss, you have such a sharp eye. Pei Qian looked a bit flustered at the compliment but quickly cleared his throat. There's still a lot for you to learn. Now get started on the files I sent you. In the following days, Pei Qian seemed to remember everything I'd said that day about praising the boss. Whenever I reviewed a report, he'd hover nearby, offering pointers and listening for compliments. Only after a few well-placed flattery would he walk away, satisfied. In just a few days, my work skills and flattery skills both improved significantly. Finally, one day, the medical staff stopped by for another check and informed us that the neighborhood restrictions would soon be lifted. Overjoyed, I rushed to pack my things. Pei Qian leaned against his bedroom door, looking displeased. What's the rush? The restrictions aren't lifting today. Just being prepared, sir, I replied politely. The moment they lift, I'll be gone, not to trouble you any further. Pei Qian made a small, annoyed sound, turning back into his room and slamming the door. I scratched my head, sighing. Every day, no telling what had him in such a mood. Chapter 4. She got out of the boss's car. The moment when the restrictions were lifted came faster than expected. Early the next morning, the loudspeaker in the community repeatedly announced that the restrictions were lifted and residents could enter and exit freely from that moment on. I happily said goodbye to the boss while pulling the Hermes suitcase I borrowed from him. Pei Qian's expression was even worse than yesterday. He stood at the bedroom door, watching me struggle to move the suitcase, and after a long pause, he finally said, "I'll give you a ride." I was taken aback. No. I can't afford it, your time is worth a lot. Pei Qian gave me a disdainful glance. Stop reading so many romance novels. I don't make money by selling my time, I can make the same amount even after sleeping. 3 minutes later, I silently climbed into the boss's Aston Martin. After he placed my luggage in the car, he glanced at me through the rearview mirror, sitting in the back seat. "Do you think I'm a taxi driver?" I awkwardly chuckled. Of course not. If any taxi driver had that kind of attitude, I would definitely file a complaint. But since this was my boss, I could only smile awkwardly and sit in the front passenger seat. On the way back, Pei Qian looked like he wanted to say something. I was anxious, fearing that my poor performance from a few days ago had given him thoughts of firing me. But as the car entered the street near the community, he still didn't say anything. However, just as we were about to enter the community, he suddenly slammed on the brakes and pulled over to the side of the road. Pei Qian looked at me. "Don't you have anything to say?" I was taken aback, glancing at him and then at the community entrance nearby. Suddenly, it dawned on me. "Boss, you stopped here because you're afraid that driving into the community would take up public resources, right?" "You're so nice." Pei Qian's forehead twitched with a vein popping. "Is that all?" I scratched my head. You look really cool when you parallel park perfectly." Pei Qian. He gritted his teeth, looking like he wanted to yell at me, "Are you made of wood?" What I meant was, why do you insist on going back? I was seriously listening to the boss's instructions when suddenly, a loudspeaker announcement blared outside the car. "Attention, residents of the community, a suspected case has been reported in Building X, Unit X. Please do not leave your homes, stay indoors." Repeat, a suspected case has been reported in Building X, Unit X. Pei Qian's words were abruptly cut off. I thought to myself that, indeed, the quality of this community was different. The loudspeaker in the boss's community sounded much nicer and even had background music. Once I finished my thoughts, I finally understood what the announcement was about. I didn't care to hear the second half of the boss's sentence and suddenly flung open the car door, rushing towards the entrance of the community. I bumped into the medical staff who were setting up the quarantine line. Comrade, can you let me in?" I looked at the medical staff with sincerity. "Please let me go home and stay indoors." The medical staff shook their heads. "Sorry, if you had come 2 minutes earlier, we could have let you in, but now it's too late." A bolt from the blue struck me right on the forehead. Pei Qian also rushed over. "Su Qingqing, why are you running?" I drooped my head, my tone dispirited. "It's over." "What do you mean it's over?" I raised my head, staring vacantly at him. "My paid leave is gone." Pei Qian rubbed his forehead and pulled me towards the car. "Stop embarrassing yourself, I'll give you a raise next month." I brightened up. "Really?" Really, he pushed me into the car. "Stop acting like I'm not paying you." I sat back in the car with satisfaction, watching as the boss started the engine and made a U-turn smoothly. I then belatedly asked, "Boss, where are we going?" "Where else?" "Home." I exclaimed. "Huh? Whose home?" "You can't go back to yours, so of course we're going back to my place." I bit my lip. But what?" Pei Qian turned to look at me, raising an eyebrow. "Do you have anywhere else to go?" I racked my brain for an answer. What if I do? Pei Qian replied, "Oh? Is it closer to the company than where I live?" I fell silent. He noticed my speechlessness and slowly said, "So it's better to go back to my place, it's closer to the company and convenient for work." What he said didn't seem wrong. I drifted off in thought for a moment before suddenly remembering what the boss had wanted to say after parking the car. "Boss, what were you going to say earlier?" "Boss? Nothing." I looked at him suspiciously. "No, you said something. You mentioned I was made of wood and wondered why I had to." "So what is the conclusion?" It's nothing. R. Ask again and I'll deduct your salary. Okay, boss. I'm sorry, boss. The boss was so willful and unreasonable. But considering the raise next month, I decided not to argue with him. With the restrictions lifted in the boss' community, it meant both of us would have to start getting back to the routine of clocking in for work. The difference was that I had to start at 9, while the boss came in whenever he felt like it. However, like me, he got up early and even prepared breakfast. On the first day back to work, keep your spirits up, Pei Qian said after taking a sip of coffee, casually reminding me, you're not just representing yourself, you also represent my image. I thought for a while and concluded that the boss was probably still concerned about being set up with someone. Don't worry, boss, once we get to the office, I will definitely keep my distance from you. I won't let anyone question your taste. Pei Qian raised his hand and plucked a leaf of lettuce off my mouth, looking kindly. Don't worry, with your current demeanor, it's hard for people to think we have anything going on. He paused and then added, but you still need to be careful, watch out for bad-hearted people who might take advantage of the situation and spread ridiculous rumors that could negatively affect you. I remained non-committal. As long as I stayed upright, I didn't have to worry about shadows. I relied on my skills to get into the company, my charm to get into the secretary's office, and my ability to survive this long without being laid off. I even managed to thrive under the boss, all thanks to my good flattery. If it weren't for my sharp wit and sweet tongue, I would have long been sent packing by the boss. What did I have to fear? So I stepped out of the boss's 5 million Maserati wearing a 50 yuan t-shirt, confidently walked through the front door of the company. The receptionist's jaw nearly dropped as she watched me enter the elevator, and she immediately grabbed her phone to open the group chat. Su Qingqing came to work. Isn't it normal to come to work? What's so surprising about that? She got out of the boss's car. Chapter 5, Not Your Place to Be. I won't get it wrong, it's the blue Maserati we talked about a couple of days ago, the one that's really flashy. And she rode up in the same elevator as the boss. When did Su Qingqing start working for the boss? I want to sign up QAQ. This gossip spread faster than the elevator could move. By the time I arrived at the 28th floor with the boss, the people in the secretary's office had been staring at the elevator doors for quite a while. The boss went to his office, and I returned to my desk, preparing to start today's work. Among the crowd of eager onlookers, Shi was the first to approach, holding a cup of coffee as she walked to my desk and knocked on it. Su Qingqing, I heard you came to work in the boss's car today. That's pretty impressive. I looked up at her, sincerely replying, where's the impressiveness? Shi was momentarily speechless. After a few seconds, she retorted sarcastically, looks like you really are getting close to the boss. You used to not even dare to lift your head when you saw me, but now you've got quite the attitude, huh? Not really, I said while organizing my files. I've always talked like this. Is it the first time you're hearing it? You better pray you can keep being this arrogant. Shi leaned in closer, gritting her teeth, and said, Su Qingqing, we'll see how this plays out. With that, she left, her back straight and proud like a hen that just won a fight. I shook my head and opened my folder to start sorting today's documents. Halfway through, someone else came over and knocked on my desk. Seeing that I didn't look up, the person continued knocking, like a persistent ghost bell. Su Qingqing. I jumped up from my seat, boss. Pei Qian was leaning next to my desk in a crisp dark suit, holding his phone, seemingly just finishing a call. You come with me. He said this and stepped outside the company. I hesitated for 3 seconds, then followed him out. Boss, it's working hours right now. I said nervously, is there something you need? I still have work to do. Pei Qian's face darkened with 3 black lines. Of course, there is something. He pulled me into a car and started the engine. I asked what we were doing, but Pei Qian coldly replied that I would find out soon enough. The boss's expression wasn't pleasant, so I kept my mouth shut, fearing that one wrong word would cost me my salary. The car stopped at the biggest mall nearby, and Pei Qian dragged me into a women's clothing store. He scanned the racks and threw me about 10 pieces of clothing. Clearing his throat, Pei Qian instructed, pick the one that fits you best and change into it. Seeing the price tags made me anxious. I quickly caught the clothes, feeling small and helpless. Boss, you aren't planning to sell me, are you? Pei Qian's lips twitched in disdain. What are you thinking? There's a cocktail party tonight, and you're coming with me. I was silent for a moment. Will there be overtime pay? Isn't he these clothes enough for overtime pay? Pei Qian's forehead twitched. I pouted, what am I supposed to do with these clothes? Use them as offerings. I'd rather have cash instead. Pei Qian rubbed his forehead and pushed me toward the fitting room. Okay, double the overtime pay. Only then did I go change clothes with satisfaction. That evening at the cocktail party, Pei Qian held a glass of wine, and his well-tailored suit made him look even taller. He leaned down to remind me, just stick with me and don't cause any trouble. I nodded, doing my best to act as a diligent and obedient flower vase. Just then, a bald man in a suit with a big belly approached, raising his glass and offering pleasantries to Pei Qian. Pei Qian remained indifferent, his expression unreadable. Remembering that the boss had just returned from abroad, I quietly leaned toward him and whispered, "Boss, this is Mr. Wang from the real estate company in the eastern part of the city." Pei Qian glanced at me and nodded slightly to Mr. Wang. Mr. Wang. Mr. Wang beamed with joy and showered Pei Qian with compliments. After he left, Pei Qian pulled me to a less crowded area and lowered his voice, questioning, "How do you know him?" "The list of attendees for the cocktail party, didn't you ask me to compile it and send it to you?" I was a bit puzzled, casually pointing out a few attendees, that S. Mr. Lee from XX Technology, and that S. "You remember all of them?" Pei Qian raised an eyebrow. "You have a pretty good memory, don't you?" I nodded, "Of course. After all, I graduated from a prestigious Ivy League MBA program, having been tricked into joining the company by the HR's smooth talking." Pei Qian was about to say something when more people started to come over. I continued to fulfill my duties as a secretary, quietly introducing their backgrounds and wealth. Finally, when it quieted down, I suddenly heard someone from behind, "Qian Ji, long time no see." A well-manicured hand with diamond-studded nails rested on Pei Qian's shoulder. He turned slightly, and I looked over as well. The woman was someone I had seen in the materials I organized. She was Pei Qian's childhood friend, Jiang Ji. Jiang Ji was exquisitely dressed, her face beaming with a smile until she caught sight of me. Her expression changed instantly. "Who are you?" I could only raise my hand in greeting. "Hello, Miss Jiang." She crossed her arms and looked me up and down, holding her head high like a proud peacock, then pushed me aside with her shoulder. Ignoring my greeting, she continued chatting with Pei Qian. "Qian Ji, why didn't you contact me after coming back to the country?" Jiang Ji said with a face full of complaints, her tone sounding very familiar. "Busy with work." Pei Qian replied while stealing a glance at me, who had been shoved aside, frowning slightly as he pushed Jiang Ji's hand away. The two exchanged banter, and I quietly stepped back, moving towards the area where food was served. As an observant secretary, I naturally couldn't block the boss's romantic pursuits, so I should minimize my presence at times like this. "You just returned to the country, you don't have to work so hard." Jiang Ji wrapped her arm around Pei Qian's arm, her cheeks flushed. "You can let me help at your company, you know." "It's fine, not hard." Pei Qian replied, his gaze inadvertently drifting toward me, his expression suddenly darkening. "It's just that the people under me have it a bit tough." "You're right, Secretary Su. R." I was quietly enjoying the small cakes when I nearly choked at the sound of my name. Yes, I stammered in reply. Jiang Ji shot me a glare, her eyes filled with dissatisfaction. "Secretary Su." Her disdainful gaze scanned me up and down, and she clicked her tongue. "Your clothes are so ugly, you really have no taste." I raised my head at her remark and pointed at the boss. "He picked these out." For a moment, the atmosphere went silent. Jiang Ji was both angry and embarrassed, her face turning as red as a liver. After several seconds, she managed to say, "Qian Ji, I didn't mean your taste." "What did you mean then?" Pei Qian took a sip of wine, suddenly looking uninterested. "That was indeed me who picked out these clothes for Secretary Su." Jiang Ji's face flushed even more. She stiffened her neck and said in a hard voice, "What else could it be? This cocktail party isn't the place for someone like her." Chapter 6. Are you going to leave me alone? I blinked. I don't know whether I should come or not. I know my boss's social circle, so I should get the double overtime pay. I can't offend my boss's childhood friend. I know the importance of this matter. It's better to have less trouble than more. What if Miss Jiang really comes to work at my boss company one day and deliberately deducts my salary? Jiang Ji sneered, people like her only care about money. Me, yeah. Jiang Ji, she can only rely on men. She is not even worthy of polishing my shoes. Me, yeah. Jiang Ji, although clothes make the man, she also has to be good looking. Look at her, can she hold it up? I shook my head sincerely and replied, no. Jiang Ji choked, you know yourself. Pei Qian held his forehead and shook his head, pulling me behind him. She is not as bad as you say, Jiang Ji, you are too much. Brother Qian. Jiang Ji looked at me with hostility and resentment. She just admitted it. She is a gold-digging daughter. What qualifications does she have to be your female companion? You should obviously find someone more decent to be your female companion. Wait. I said suddenly. Jiang Ji looked at me warily. Pei Qian also turned his head to look at me and raised his eyebrows. Finding a more decent female companion means that the original female companion is no longer needed. No longer need me. I stood up straight, so can I go home? My eyes lit up, Ms. Jiang is right. You should be my female companion. Boss, can I go home now? Jiang Ji was stunned and speechless for a moment. She wanted to hint to Pei Qian to choose her as a female companion, but she didn't expect that the secretary who was her female companion would take the initiative to speak for her. Pei Qian's face gradually turned as dark as the bottom of a pot. He lowered his voice and said to me with gritted teeth, don't even think about it. My face turned bitter, boss, you are exploiting me. I am counting on you to recognize people for me and stay here. Pei Qian's face was not very good, and his long and slender fingers pulled my arm, and he didn't want to continue arguing with Jiang Ji. So I pulled away from Jiang Ji, who was not close to me originally, and said in a low voice, if there is nothing else, I will go to discuss work first. I will find time to visit Grandpa Jiang another day. Jiang Ji was a little confused by me. It seemed that she finally saw clearly that I, Secretary Su, was actually not a threat, and I was not as threatening to the boss as she thought. I really just came to discuss work. Jiang Ji hesitated for a moment, snorted at me behind the boss's back, rolled her eyes, and left with her bag. I was a little confused. Boss, you won't abuse your power for personal gain, right? I pulled his sleeve with the hand that was held by the boss. Pei Qian sighed, when have I ever done such a thing? He patted my head, don't worry, I won't deduct your salary because of her. My eyes lit up, okay boss. It has to be the boss who understands me. Pei Qian's face was still not very good, probably because he thought that I was just thinking about leaving him and running away after get off work, and he gritted his teeth. I didn't say I was going to get off work, so you are not allowed to think about getting off work. Evil capitalists. I grumbled in my heart, but I thought of the double overtime pay, so I said, oh. Oh, right. Pei Qian suddenly remembered something. Boss, you tell me. I said as a flatterer. Remember to vacate your workstation tomorrow and move your stuff out. Okay, R. My face turned from attentive to shocked, and a thunderbolt blasted me with a burning smell. Boss, you can't do this. At this time, Pei Qian had already walked out of the reception hall, and I hurriedly followed him and said anxiously, I am a member of the company in life and a ghost of the company in death. Boss, please don't fire me. Even if you fire me, you have to pay me this month's salary. You, Pei Qian said with a dark face, grabbing my wrist, do you really want me to fire you? The boss's palm was a little strong, and his words made me think overloaded for a while. I didn't notice the flash of light behind the boss. I said, Boss, what do you mean? Pack up your workstation and move next to my office tomorrow. Pei Qian said coldly, I'll give you a promotion. From now on, you'll be my assistant. Do your best, okay. Promotion. I subconsciously asked, will the salary increase? Increase. Pei Qian seemed to have figured out my weakness. He opened the car door and stuffed me into the passenger seat. Tomorrow, go to the HR department to get a job list. I'll fill in the salary column for you. After closing the car door, I heard the car start. Suddenly, I slapped my head, oh, that's not right. Boss, didn't you ask me to stay and introduce you to you? Why did you leave? No need. Pei Qian looked ahead, his tone a little unnatural. Then why didn't you let me leave early just now? Wouldn't it be convenient to leave work together? Pei Qian bit his back teeth and looked at me, complaining, are you going to leave me alone there to deal with people? Yeah. I scratched my head, it seemed to make sense. The neon lights were colorful, and after a blue luxury car sped away from the banquet hall, a person walked out of the darkness with a dusty face. Shushi brushed off the rotten vegetable leaves on his head with disdain, looked at the photos on his phone, and showed a strange and satisfied smile. Jiang Ji returned home from the cocktail party in a hurry, and the more she thought about it, the more she felt something was wrong. Pei Qian had never brought any female companions, even if it was for work. He had never even brought her as a female companion. Even if it was just a small secretary, even if it was just for work, Jiang Ji still felt a little psychologically unbalanced. After entering Brother Qian's company and being promoted by his side, it was enough to see that Brother Qian valued this person. What virtue did that crappy secretary have? She opened her phone and planned to send someone to investigate. At this time, a text message ding sounded to receive a reminder. Jiang Ji clicked it and her fingers suddenly stopped on the screen. Then she enlarged the photo, and then enlarged it again until she could see the faces clearly. The people in the photo were Pei Qian and Secretary Su. Pei Qian held the secretary's hand, and Secretary Su did not refuse. It was unknown whether it was because of the angle or something else, but the two of them were very close. It was obvious that the relationship was improper. This photo must have been taken secretly. The location of the photo was tricky and the light was very bad. It was obvious that the person who took the photo hid in a very hidden place to hide. Jiang Ji vaguely remembered that this location seemed to be where the garbage was piled in the back hall of the banquet hall that day. The photo was accompanied by the caption, "The world is really going downhill. There are actually people who use work to seduce the boss." The tone was familiar, as if he was complaining to a friend that he accidentally sent it to her. Who complains to a friend using text messages, and deliberately uses an unfamiliar account? Jiang Ji looked at the photo while despising the person who sent the text message as a mentally retarded person, and her heart was burning with anger. Okay, she pretended so well, she was really a green tea, and she was deceived. Thinking of the lousy secretary at the cocktail party pretending to please her and deceive her, but secretly hooking up with Brother Qian, Jiang Ji was furious. No, she must teach that woman a lesson. Chapter 7 Drinking Party. The next day, I returned to my workstation. I didn't rush to move things, but planned to deal with the forms that I hadn't finished yesterday. Hey, Su Qingqing. Shushi came over, as if she had mastered some incredible secret, and her expression was particularly satisfied. You're done. I glanced at her. Are you secretly in love with me? Why do you come to see me every day? Shushi choked. She snorted coldly, and in a good mood. She didn't care about me, but said mysteriously, Su Qingqing, your good days are over. I looked at her in surprise, feeling puzzled. At this time, the nun came over with a cold face, knocked on my desk, and said in a bad tone, "Hurry up and make room." The nun's face was not good. Shushi opened her eyes wide. She had just sent the secretly taken photos to Miss Jiang last night. Su Qingqing was fired so soon. Yesterday, she followed Su Qingqing and the boss. She didn't intend to do anything, just to make Su Qingqing uncomfortable. Although the process was not very fragrant, let's not talk about it, she actually found an opportunity to secretly take intimate photos of the two of them. Her angle was very good. From that position, the two of them were in an ambiguous posture, almost leaning against each other. The eldest daughter of the Jiang family was arrogant and proud, and she could not tolerate any sand in her eyes. If she saw this photo, she would definitely make trouble for Su Qingqing. She just needed to reap the benefits. I saw Shushi's eyes flickering, and I didn't know what she was thinking. Facing the terrifying gaze of the nun, I slowly stood up from my seat and sorted out my things. Oh, so you were fired? Look at what I said. Shushi covered her mouth and said in a gloating tone, "Puh, why am I a jinx? Look at what I said, really. No need to puh. I said seriously, a dog can't grow a donkey's mouth, and a jinx can't grow a donkey's mouth either. I'm sorry for disappointing you. I'm sorry for you, R." Shushi's face turned black, and the smile at the corner of his mouth froze. "Hurry up, pack your things and fill out the transfer form." The nun looked at me unkindly and left. What? Transfer, job? Shushi was stunned. At this time, the colleague next to him said, "Don't you know? Su Qingqing has been transferred and is now the boss's special assistant." Special assistant. Shushi couldn't believe it and gritted his teeth. Su Qingqing. Why? Because she is a popular person around the boss. The colleagues answered kindly, but Shushi glared at them, shut up and went back to work. Shushi clenched her fists and was sulking for a long time. She sneered to herself, what's the use of being in the limelight now? Their good rewards are still to come. Just after I moved my things to my workstation, I was called to the office by my boss. The lighting here is very good. Looking out of the floor-to-ceiling windows, you can clearly see the towering buildings and the traffic coming and going in Haicheng. The boss leaned back in his office chair with his eyes half lowered, and the cuffs of his black shirt were folded up. When he saw me, he straightened up and waved at me, come on, come on. I walked over, and Pei Qian said, there's a drinking party and you have to accompany me. I said, another one. Pei Qian's face darkened, and he tapped the salary column of my position form on the desk. As a special assistant, you have to follow me, wherever I go, you go. Why do I feel like I'm trapped in a den of thieves and threatened? I nodded quickly, boss is right, I'll go wherever you go. On their way to the drinking party, Pei Qian drove and said, I've been back to Haicheng for half a month, and I haven't had time to say hello to my old friends, so Jiang Ji just used this as an excuse to let me go, otherwise I wouldn't agree. I sat in the co-pilot, holding a laptop to process documents, and responded, yeah. Suddenly the car stopped, and the boss parked the car on the side of the road. I had long been accustomed to his moodiness. I leaned over to see his face, and it was indeed a bit stinky. Repeat what I said. Pei Qian said. Well, go to the party of your friend, boss. That's not the point. Pei Qian gritted his teeth and stared at me, the point is, forget it, anyway, I'm here. I was confused. No. What does the drinking party of the boss's friend have to do with me? He can't be unable to recognize people, right? Then what am I here for? Soon, I knew. I actually attended as Jiang Ji's friend. No, when did Miss Jiang and I become so familiar with each other? I looked at the boss, and he snorted and didn't look at me. Jiang Ji smiled and pulled me to her side. I felt friendly when I saw Secretary Su that day, and she seemed to be very capable at work. I was shocked and flattered. She didn't have such an attitude that day. But, she actually said that I was very capable at work. Better than the boss. I sat next to Jiang Ji, and Pei Qian came over silently and sat on the other side of me. Jiang Ji's smile became more stiff when he saw this, and he thought to himself that there was something fishy. She thought about the purpose of the visit, and pulled me to persuade me, Secretary Su is so capable at work, she must be very good at drinking, right? I was stunned and stammered, I haven't drunk. Strictly speaking, it's not that I haven't drunk before, but I just drank less. I recalled that I drank a little wine at a few parties as a courtesy, and it didn't seem to feel anything. So, my alcohol tolerance should not be bad, right? Jiang Ji. Shouldn't we show our strength at this time? Her face changed for a moment, but soon she became calm again. Jiang Ji poured 2 glasses of beautiful wine, handed me one, and said with a smile, how can we know if we don't try it? Secretary Su, do you want to try it? I took it hesitantly, and Jiang Ji naturally clinked glasses with me, and then took the lead to drink the wine in the glass. Why doesn't Secretary Su drink it? I could only pass the glass to my mouth and drink a small half of it. The mellow wine moistened my throat and boiled in my head with a little spiciness. I was a little drunk. Pei Qian was toasting with old friends. After a round of greetings, he looked at me and my cheeks were already a little flushed. He saw at a glance that I couldn't drink much, so he hurriedly pulled me, take it easy, don't get drunk. The boss's tone contained a warning. I blinked, my eyes a little hazy, it's okay, I don't feel anything. Brother Qian, do you know Jiang Ji's friend? This party was organized by Jiang Ji, and I was just talking to her, so everyone assumed that I was Jiang Ji's friend. Pei Qian nodded slightly and said I was his assistant. The atmosphere in the room suddenly became lively again. Someone raised his glass and said he wanted to toast me. I was startled and raised my glass to touch it in fear. The people present were all the boss's children, all of them were extraordinary and had amazing financial resources. I was a small follower, and I didn't dare to refuse 10 pay slips. If he really gave it to me, it would be another matter. A pair of hands suddenly blocked me, and Pei Qian actually took a step ahead of me and touched his glass for me. Chapter 8 Nothing is wrong, just a little dizzy. Pei Qian smiled at the corner of his lips, and said in a distant tone, "Just give me face, my assistant will drive later and can't drink." "What assistant or not, we are all friends." Jiang Ji said, "She filled the wine in front of me, and Secretary Su has already drunk wine just now. If he is drunk, just call the driver." She came close to me, smiled faintly and said, "Secretary Su, I toast you." Then she drank her own glass in one gulp. Several pairs of eyes on the table stared at me, including Jiang Ji and the boss. I pinched the corner of my clothes nervously. "One more drink, should be fine." Smacking my lips, I savored it. The wine was sweet, it should be fruit wine, no problem. Then. "Nothing, ask?" "Well, a little dizzy." My eyelids drooped, and I lay on the table and began to mumble softly. Pei Qian frowned at me, then looked at the wine glass, and as expected, he said, "Who gave it to her? This wine is too strong." Jiang Ji snorted in her heart. She had specially changed the strong wine, so what? Today, she wanted to see how this little green tea girl could act and seduce Brother Qian after getting drunk. Everyone here is Brother Qian's friend. If this Secretary Su has ulterior motives, even if Brother Qian is seduced and obsessed, everyone present will stop him. "Boss." Pei Qian pulled me up from the table, and I took the opportunity to grab my sleeve and looked up at him. My eyes were blurred. "Well, you are the black-hearted boss who exploits the labor of employees, right?" Pei Qian's face was livid. "You are drunk." He took off his suit jacket and covered my head directly. "You go to sleep first, I will take you home later." I took off my suit jacket, my cheeks flushed. "No, I am not drunk, I don't get drunk that easily." I looked at him with a smile, my body swaying. "Do you think I am drunk?" "No, actually I am conscious, I just can't control myself a little." "Pei Qian." He held his forehead and pulled my arm. "Go home." I suddenly sobbed. Pei Qian paused. "If you don't want to go back, then don't go back. Be quiet." Bang. I suddenly slammed the table hard, shouting like Meng Jianyu crying at the Great Wall, "I quit. The boss is a nobody, he gave me all the work, I'm exhausted." I screamed at the top of my lungs. Pei Qian heard the veins on his forehead throbbing, and hurried forward to cover my mouth. "Watch what you say." He ignored the teasing eyes of his old friends at the table, and casually greeted me. Then he carried me out drunk. The driver had been waiting downstairs, and he didn't let go of my mouth until Pei Qian stuffed me into the car. I felt uncomfortable and had been twisting restlessly. As soon as he let go of my hand, I hummed, "I feel uncomfortable." "Behave yourself." Pei Qian frowned and warned, his ears slightly red. He glanced at the driver in front. The driver was very sensible, and the baffle quickly rose to separate the interior of the car into two spaces. I only felt the light in front of me dim, and squinted to find someone. Then he held Pei Qian's face and stared at him. I couldn't see anything clearly, and I kissed him vaguely, then let go of his red face and lay on the back seat. Pei Qian's face was as black as the bottom of a pot, and he lifted me up. "Sit down." "No." The temperature in the car was getting higher and higher, and I pulled my clothes. "It's so hot." Pei Qian grabbed my hand and coughed unnaturally. "I'm a gentleman, don't think." I suddenly kicked the baffle and shouted, "Little Qianzi, undress me quickly. Be honest." Pei Qian finally couldn't bear it anymore. After returning home, I leaned on Pei Qian in a daze. My consciousness was chaotic. Pei Qian carried me into the entrance hall and gritted his teeth and said, "I'm so stupid that I blocked the wine for you. You're playing like this, aren't you?" The breath on my nose smelled good, and I couldn't help but rub it with my head. I hugged the person in front of me, and I felt as peaceful as when I was a child. A layer of blush gradually floated on Pei Qian's face. He pushed me out with a cold face. Okay, get down." "No." I hugged Pei Qian tightly and refused to get down no matter what. Pei Qian's face was full of black lines, and he suddenly doubted his life. Why did he torture himself and take care of a drunk person? "Let go." His tone was a little tougher. "How can I get the sobering medicine if you don't let go?" Pei Qian carried me to the bed in the bedroom. "Do you go down by yourself or do I throw you down?" However, the fact is that even if Pei Qian completely let go of his hand, I was hanging on him like a soft cat with my eyes wide open, and I couldn't get rid of it. I rubbed my head against the chest of the person in front of me. My eyes were empty, my head was dizzy, and I felt as if time had flowed back to the distant past. Da Huang, how can I live without you, woo woo woo. Da Huang? Who is it? Pei Qian's forehead was throbbing with veins. Su Qingqing, what do you think I am now? When I first adopted you, you were so small in my arms, how did you grow up, taller than me? If there are handsome guys in the dog world, Da Huang, you must be, 1.88 meters tall, a top-notch handsome guy. Wipe your saliva. I muttered, holding Da Huang tightly, feeling the warmth in my arms, and suddenly felt sad. It would be great if there hadn't been that accident. Da Huang, I miss you so much. I tell you, my current boss is simply not a human being. Pei Qian was originally curious about what I said, but when he heard what I said, his eyebrows frowned and his thin lips pursed into a straight line. He pinched my hot face and looked at it carefully, his eyes filled with displeasure. Is it necessary to be so resentful? How can I not be a human being? Well, Da Huang, you are talking. I opened my eyes a little wider, but still couldn't see anything clearly. I patted Pei Qian's neck and smiled. It's amazing. The black-hearted boss not only made me work overtime, but also exploited employees, throwing more than a dozen documents for me to sort out. He also said that my report was poorly written, woo woo woo. I hugged Da Huang and complained, he is moody and difficult to serve. Pei Qian remained silent, picked up a strand of my hair and entangled it with his fingertips, feeling a little dissatisfied and a little depressed. But my boss is actually a good person. The fingertips paused between the ends of the hair. Although he made me work overtime, he was willing to pay me overtime. He gave me so many documents but didn't actually tell me the deadline. My report was not well written, and he pointed it out in a few words, he. I spoke slower and slower, almost one word at a time. Although he is difficult to serve, he is not difficult to get along with. Pei Qian smiled softly with his hand on his forehead, and his large and warm palm unconsciously brushed my hair. I felt like a boat that had been drifting for a long time, feeling the breath of the sheltered bay. I arched my back in his arms, my eyes reddened, and blurted out, Mom. The hand paused, and the corner of Pei Qian's mouth twitched, and he looked at his hand. He was really crazy. Chapter 9. The body was cold early in the morning. My head hurts. I squinted and stared at the bright and dazzling sunlight outside the window for a while, then slowly came back to my senses. Wait a minute. My whole body was stiff. I slowly turned my head, and quickly looked away. Not sure, take another look. The boss was lying behind me, and I could see a handsome face close to me. His eyes were closed, and his dense eyelashes trembled with his breathing. One of his hands was resting on my head, and I could even see the blue veins under his forearm skin with a sense of strength. I raised my body slightly, not daring to lie down. My mind was blank. Who am I? Where am I? What am I doing? Why am I lying on the same bed with my boss? Although the boss is handsome, has a good figure and good temperament, but he is my boss? No matter how hungry I am, I can't pounce on my parents who feed me. I subconsciously took a look at myself, and it was still the skirt I wore when I attended the drinking party last night. Fortunately, it seems that nothing happened. I was thinking with a guilty conscience that I should not have done anything outrageous last night. I should not have scolded the boss, but I couldn't have teased him, right? Otherwise I would be dead. I didn't drink much, so I still overestimated my alcohol tolerance and fell down after 2 glasses. The only memory I have left is the wine Jiang Ji poured for me, which tasted particularly sweet. What I did and what happened next, I can't remember at all. I moved towards the bed, trying to sneak back to the room and pretend nothing happened. As soon as I moved, Pei Qian, who was sleeping behind me, frowned, and his straight arms suddenly bent, and he pulled me back and held me tightly in his arms. The warmth of the human body came from the chest pressed against my back, and I could even hear his calm and steady heartbeat, while my heartbeat almost jumped to my throat. Pei Qian also stretched out his other hand and hugged me like a teddy bear. Now I couldn't run away even if I wanted to. I stared at the ceiling blankly, my mind blank. When the boss wakes up, it will be my death. I don't know how long it took, but Pei Qian showed signs of waking up. My heart skipped a beat, and I hurriedly closed my eyes and pretended to sleep. The man behind me was stiff after waking up. He was stunned for a long time before slowly letting go of his arms around me. He stood up and left the bedroom. His movements were smooth and flowing, almost fast. After a while, I quietly opened my eyes and confirmed that Pei Qian had left before I dared to open my eyes and observe the surroundings. This is my room. I sat up suddenly, buried my head under the pillow, and pounded the pillow frantically. It's over. I'm really going to be fired this time. Su Qingqing, come and have breakfast. The door was pushed open. Pei Qian stood by the door and stared at me in amazement. I stood up suddenly and looked into the eyes of my boss. It was early in the morning, and the body was stiff. I washed up and went out. The table was already set with soothing porridge. The porridge was very soft and the soup was bright and sticky, emitting hot white steam, which immediately aroused my stomach that was uncomfortable due to the hangover. But Pei Qian was sitting opposite, his face was gloomy and not very good. I mustered up the courage to move over and said hello with a dry laugh, but the boss ignored me. My heart sank, it was over. I held the porridge in front of me with tears in my eyes. Perhaps this was the legendary life-threatening porridge. Seeing me dawdling, Pei Qian said impatiently, if you don't drink it, the porridge will get cold. Is he not going to hold me accountable? Yes, boss. I nodded repeatedly like a quail, holding the bowl and eating fiercely. Pei Qian held his forehead and said helplessly, you don't have to eat so quickly. From the tone of his voice, it seemed that he really didn't mean to hold me accountable. My heart was relieved, maybe I didn't do anything yesterday. Some people go crazy after drinking, but some people are quiet after getting drunk. I am probably the latter. Boss, I was drunk yesterday. I stirred the porridge in the bowl and looked up at him secretly. You know that what you say after drinking is nonsense. If you do something treasonous, don't take it to heart. I don't know if it was my illusion, but I saw Pei Qian's ears turned red. No. He said. Really? No. Didn't you call you a black-hearted boss, Ju Paopi? Didn't you touch me? Pei Qian's eyes were as dark as ink. He stared at me for a long time, and said word by word with gritted teeth. No, I did. I was scared and said, I don't really believe in my self-control. It's okay to hold back from cursing, but how can I not pounce on a handsome guy when I see him drunk? But if I really did that, would I still be able to sit here so soundly this morning? And eat the porridge made by the boss himself? Pei Qian knocked on the table, his face dark. Hurry up, finish the porridge and go to work. Oh. I responded, and buried my head in eating the remaining porridge with a nervous mood. Maybe it's true. The company has been very busy these days, and I just changed my job, so I have more things to do. This is not a malicious revenge by the black-hearted boss, but there happened to be an important project with a tight deadline. I pressed the enter key, leaned back in the chair and exhaled a deep breath. Done. The rest will be handed over to the colleague in the secretary's office who is responsible for the handover. I was busy for a long time, and I didn't drink a drop of water. I realized that my mouth was dry, so I unplugged the USB flash drive of the project I had just sorted out, and took the water cup to the tea room to get water. After getting the water, I handed the things to the colleague in the secretary's office who was handing over. As a result, when I came out of the tea room, Xuxi suddenly appeared. I didn't pay attention, and she hit my shoulder hard. Most of the water in the cup was poured out, and most of Xuxi's clothes were wet. Su Qingqing! Xuxi screamed loudly, and colleagues passing by all looked over. My water! I felt a little sorry for the water I had just filled. Now I have to refill it again. One is a well-known relative in the company, and the other is a popular person around the boss who has been on the crest of gossip recently. Colleagues watched the fun and cast their eyes over. Xuxi looked at me with almost resentful and angry eyes, apologized to me. I was puzzled. Why? You bumped into me yourself. I don't care. Xuxi grabbed my hand. Now my clothes are wet, it's all your fault. You must apologize to me. What for? There was too much noise here, and the nun came out and said sternly, You are so noisy, do you think the company is a vegetable market? Xuxi immediately pointed at her clothes. Supervisor, Su Qingqing wet my clothes. Now I have a cup of water in my hand, and half of her clothes are wet. I can't explain anything. I didn't. The nun obviously didn't believe my words. She was trying to curry favor with Xuxi, and now there was conclusive evidence. So the nun quickly made a judgment. Su Qingqing, apologized to Xuxi. It's true that you sit at home and the pot comes from the sky. Overtime work is annoying. Although I am easy to bully, I will not let others bully me. Chapter 10 Old Classmates. I pointed to the camera on the top of the tea room. Do you want to check the surveillance to see who hit whom? Xu Shi's face changed. She forgot there was a surveillance. The nun saw what was going on at a glance and had to give Xu Shi a vague look. It's just a small matter, why watch the surveillance? Yes. I looked at Xu Shi, who was determined to give up, but I don't think Xu Shi thinks this is a small matter. Otherwise, let's go to the surveillance room to find out the truth. Xu Shi choked and glared at me angrily. Yes, it is indeed a small matter, Xu Shi said aggrievedly, clenching her fists tightly. She had just provoked the incident, but now she had to take the initiative to settle the incident. Otherwise, not only would she be splashed with water, but she would also be punished and apologized in the end. In the end, Su Qingqing didn't get hurt, but she got it for herself. Xu Shi looked at me with great dissatisfaction. Su Qingqing, I wonder how long you can be so proud. Then he bumped into my other shoulder and rushed away. I shook my head helplessly, holding the water cup and turning back to refill it. Suddenly, I seemed to step on something made of hard metal. I moved away and saw it, as if it was a bolt from the blue. I thought it was just bad luck today, and I ran into Xu Shi and was troubled by her. I didn't expect to be in big trouble, and bad things happened. The project USB flash drive lay quietly in the water. My legs softened and I almost knelt down. I hurriedly took it out of the water. The USB flash drive was not only soaked in water, but also deformed by being stepped on. I rushed back to my workstation to wipe it clean, and inserted it into the computer with trembling fingers. The computer popped up a window, showing that the project could not be found. I was half disappointed. I had already done this document, and it was not difficult to do it again. The key is that the information is also in it. As long as I find the information, I can quickly restore a copy. I hurriedly contacted my colleague who was in charge of the handover. Sister Lan, do you have a backup of the data for Project A? Well, I need to find the project leader. Do you have the contact of the leader? Soon my colleague sent me a string of numbers, and I dialed the number. The call was quickly connected. Hello? Who is this? I felt that their voice on the other end was very familiar, but I couldn't remember it for a while. I explained my purpose to her, and she paused for a long time, with a pleasant tone. Su Qingqing. She knew me. I was a little surprised. You are? I'm Ning Qingyu, have you forgotten me? It's normal not to remember, we didn't have much in common in college. Ning Qingyu. I searched my mind and remembered. College classmate, very straightforward, seems to have always been at odds with Xu Shi. The family is very rich, and he returned home to inherit the family business after graduation. You are doing so well now, Ning Qingyu's tone sounded very happy. Are you in charge of this project? Oh, then I'm relieved. You were the first in your major every year in school. There will be no problem. No, I'm just an assistant responsible for organizing files, I said, crying in my heart. My old classmates really thought too highly of me, and now there is a serious problem. I lost the information. Oh, the information, no problem. But I'm not in the company now, I have to wait until the evening to send it to you. Do you need it urgently? I nodded desperately. Urgent. Then come to me now to get the USB flash drive, I'm in XX. She sent me an address while talking, and I clicked it and saw that it was a photography base. Without thinking too much, I said hello to their boss and left the company temporarily to get the files. Pei Qian sat in front of the computer and drank a cup of coffee. Seeing my hurried look, he couldn't help but ask, do you want me to take you? No. I refused guiltily. If the boss asked me in detail, I would be finished. I'll go get a file and come back. Pei Qian's face was sour again, staring at me with a gloomy look. What file is so important? No. I silently prayed in my heart, don't worry about me, ancestor, and said pitifully, it's just a file, not worth your trip. Pei Qian's face looked better, and he nodded reluctantly. Okay, go quickly and come back quickly. I left the company and found the photography base according to the address Ning Qingyu gave me. This place looks very luxurious from the outside. Ning Qingyu waved at me on the second floor and asked me to go up. Wow, Ning Qingyu was wearing a well-cut dark blue half-knee skirt and her hair was neatly done. She saw my eyes shining and hurriedly walked up. She pinched my cheeks, her tone was filled with an inexplicable ease, like the ease of surviving a disaster. It really fits. I felt very strange and scratched my head. Sister Nind, what's wrong? Nothing, nothing. Ning Qingyu pulled me to sit down and started searching in her bag. I guessed she was looking for a USB drive, so I didn't say anything and stayed there. While she was searching, she suddenly asked me, how could the information be gone? I hesitantly explained the whole story to her. Shushi is actually your colleague. Just because of her. Ning Qingyu snorted disdainfully. How did she get into that big company? Could it be that she used a backdoor? I shook my head, indicating that I didn't know. It's not your fault. Blame her. Ning Qingyu said, pouring me a glass of juice. If she hadn't gone crazy and bumped into you, the data wouldn't have been lost. I took the juice, a little touched by her enthusiasm and consideration. Thank you. You're welcome. Ning Qingyu chuckled twice, suddenly pulled my hand and came over, whispering, Qingqing, come with me. As she said that, she pulled me up, and I looked at her in confusion. It seemed that Ning Qingyu had stopped looking for the USB drive since some time, but instead talked to me about this and that, as if she was stalling for time. But what was there about me that was worth her stalling for time? At this time, a roar came from the photography studio. No. Who told you to laugh like that? Shut up. The voice was so loud that the whole studio shook 3 times. My eyelids twitched. Ning Qingyu wanted to take me to that place. I stopped and dared not move. Sister Ning, what are you doing? I couldn't help asking her. Ning Qingyu had been acting strangely since just now, and was particularly enthusiastic towards me, but I didn't know her at all. Qingqing, Ning Qingyu put her hands together and begged, please, please, help me with this. That guy is too troublesome. If I had known this, I wouldn't have asked him. I didn't understand the situation, but I didn't have time to help no matter what. If I delay any longer, not only will I not have time to sort out the project, I'm afraid I will be blamed by my boss. So I had to shake my head. Sister Ning, I'm in a hurry, I'm afraid I can't help you now. Give me the USB drive quickly, I'll definitely help you next time I have a chance. Oh, by the way, the USB drive. Ning Qingyu took out a metal USB drive from her pocket, but didn't give it to me. She smiled and said, if you help me, I'll give you the USB drive. Chapter 11 The Right Person. My heart skipped a beat. No, your USB drive is in your pocket, so why did you search through your bag just now? No matter how stupid I am, I have to realize that Ning Qingyu is deliberately trying to trick me. I took a deep breath. What can I do for you? It's very simple. Just take a few photos. Ning Qingyu pulled me and pushed open the door of the photo studio. An advertisement shoot is going on inside. A beautiful model is standing in the spot where the lights are focused in the studio, posing with the product in her hand. The photographer who was frantically looking for angles with his camera under the stage was the one who just roared. What are you doing with your face hanging? The audience is here to see the product, not to see you crying with your face hanging. Reshoot. Reshoot. No. What are you doing? After hearing the click of the 108th reshoot, the photographer roared, change the person. The invisible sound wave was very intimidating. I was shocked and pointed at the poor model with trembling fingers. You don't want me to go on, do you? After hearing change the person, the model's face flashed with relief. She walked off the stage, and the staff handed her water. Before she took the water, the model's legs softened and she knelt on the ground. I don't know if she collapsed from exhaustion or fear. Ning Qingyu, yeah. Forget it then. I turned around and left. I would rather be scolded by my boss than be yelled at 108 times in public as if I were being humiliated. Hey, hey. Ning Qingyu held me and begged, please, Qingqing, believe me, you are really suitable, you won't be scolded. This project is very important, and a lot of effort has been put into brand promotion. Not only did we invite popular big-name stars, but the photographer is also Mr. Qiao Wu, who is very famous in the industry. You know Mr. Qiao Wu, right? All the commercials he shot are popular. I nodded. Even though I am an outsider, I have heard of the name Qiao Wu. By the way, didn't you invite a popular star? I looked at the model just now. Although she was very beautiful, I didn't look familiar and didn't look like a star. Where is that star? Well, it's a long story. Ning Qingyu looked miserable. To put it simply, we were stood up by that star today. Stand up. Yes, it's all my fault for not investigating clearly. That star is unreliable. Yesterday's hot search exposed her black material. She is not happy and is not coming today. We can't get in touch with him no matter how hard we try. The key is that Mr. Chia Wu's schedule is too tight. If we don't finish the shooting today, he will leave Haicheng in a few days. Ning Qingyu said, we discussed it and decided to give up that star. On the one hand, the star is too unreliable, and on the other hand, it is difficult to arrange for Mr. Chia Wu's schedule. We can't miss the opportunity. Now that everyone is here, we have to shoot even if we have to find someone temporarily. But there are too few people who match the brand concept, and the people who are found temporarily are not suitable. The model just now is the third person who has been asked to be replaced. Ning Qingyu grabbed my hand and said affectionately, at this time, you are here. Qingqing, the moment I heard your voice, I knew hope had come. You must save me from the dire straits. The boss's figure appeared in my mind nonsensically. He said, read less romance novels. But how could I save you? Who is going to wade into the deep water and cross the hot water? No one. Chia Wu put down the camera, frowning tightly. It's your company's fault that you didn't find a suitable model. You can't pay me less than a penny. If there's no one left, I'll be off work. Chia Wu packed his things very quickly, and Ning Qingyu rushed forward to block him. Yes. Before she turned around to introduce me, Chia Wu suddenly narrowed his eyes and looked behind Ning Qingyu. Hey, isn't there a suitable candidate here? He pointed at me. You try it. Ning Qingyu looked in the direction of Chia Wu's finger, met my eyes, smiled at me knowingly, and made a mouth shape. Am I right? I was a little unsure and pointed at myself. Me. Yes, you. Chia Wu's cold expression suddenly became friendly, and he said in a greeting tone, you are not a professional model, are you? This gentle tone was too different from the roar just now. I didn't react a little, and nodded subconsciously. The next second I started to get scared. I remembered Chia Wu's roar in the studio just now, and the model who was paralyzed by fear. He's not even a professional model, and you dare to let him do the shooting himself. This is simply a disgrace to his photography career. Get out. I closed my eyes, ready to accept the scolding of being kicked out, but Chia Wu's voice was still very kind. That's good, just do the movements I say. I blinked in surprise, but I'm not even a professional model. Har har har. Chia Wu laughed heartily and patted my shoulder. This is the least of all. Seeing my confusion, Ning Qingyu explained in a low voice, how can a professional model reflect the level of the master of human beings? Sometimes the most rare is the ordinary people with just the right temperament, and the master of human beings likes this. Go quickly, pack up, and I'll give you the USB drive after the shooting. After Ning Qingyu said this, she pushed me in front of the makeup artist shamelessly. It's already this time, what else can I do? You can't just stop the whole project because I can't get the USB drive, right? I went over and sat down. The makeup artist pinched my face and chuckled. Oh, why does this face need foundation? It's so tender that you can squeeze water out of it. Being young is good. I smiled a little embarrassedly, feeling uneasy. Originally, I just came to get the USB drive. I was inexplicably chosen by a famous photographer in the industry to act as a model. Is this trend not right? The makeup artist combed the broken hair on my forehead and poked my face with a cotton pad. She covered my dark circles and said that I was good, which saved her a lot of effort, but even so, it took more than an hour. No, Sister Ning, are you lying to me? I calculated that if I continued at this pace, it would take a whole afternoon. So, could it be that the first 3 models started preparing yesterday? It's impossible. At the speed Sister Ning said, wouldn't I be able to show several models in the time I took? No, time can't be calculated like that. Ning Qingyu saw my confusion and explained, it's an audition. Do you know what an audition is? Just stand there and try it out. You don't need to do such elaborate styling. Don't worry, teacher Chia Wu thinks it's okay, so you'll definitely be fine. Chapter 12 I can't be at ease. I can't be at ease, I've been cheated once. I was panicking and suddenly felt a lot of pressure. Oh, who can help me? I thought it would be like the model just now, to accept the baptism of Chia Wu's roar, and then go down the stage in disgrace and quickly take the USB drive back to the company. But it seems to be for real. If you think about it, you should know that such a big project and such an important shoot must not be sloppy, and every detail must be handled properly. although it is obviously very inappropriate to let an amateur with no experience. I took off the $50 white t-shirt and put on the exquisite red skirt that the stylist gave me. I was uncomfortable wearing this skirt, but when I walked out, the stylist clapped his hands and said, "Wow," in a very supportive manner. "I can't tell. You are too low-key compared to usual, aren't you?" Ning Qingyu stared at me intently. I had no doubt that she was drooling. I usually don't care about my appearance, but who doesn't feel resentful after a day's work? How can I have the heart to dress up? It looks good, but it's not right. The stylist pondered my look. "This dress is for a big star, it doesn't seem to highlight your temperament." He pushed me back to the dressing room, where there were a row of spare skirts hanging. He said as he picked, "Your temperament is very clean, but this cleanliness is not sharp, and you are also beautiful. The bright red skirt is not suitable for you." I blinked. When I was sorting out the documents, I had read the plan of this project and understood the main style and concept. The main product is a perfume, which is said to be very good and will become an extraordinary classic when it is launched. The boss also cares about this project. He gave it to me to handle. If I mess it up. How about this? I suddenly raised my hand and took out a piece of clothing. The stylist glanced at this dress and skipped it, but I always think this one is the most suitable. This one is too simple. Oh no, the stylist compared the skirt to me, and his eyes lit up. Wow, it's surprisingly suitable. This is a finely embroidered dress, light yellow, simple but subtly eye-catching, the kind of clothes I like to wear before work. This is it. The stylist stuffed the clothes into my arms excitedly and praised, "You have good taste." I laughed and said nothing, and honestly changed my clothes. After I changed my clothes, the stylist frowned and walked around me like a pillar for several times. Well, I always feel that there is something missing. Let me think about it. Is there something missing? I looked at myself in the mirror, and it seemed that there was too much space in front of the collarbone. Oh, yes, I know. The stylist reached out to take the necklace from the jewelry cabinet, but he didn't expect a pair of hands to come in front of him and take away the brushed enamel pendant. I put the pendant on my neck, and the space in front of my clavicle in the mirror suddenly looked less empty, and I couldn't help but feel satisfied. "Teacher, look, how about this?" I turned my head, and the stylist looked at me blankly. "Yes, this one is very suitable." The stylist came over and adjusted my clothes. "This dress and the pendant are from the same luxury brand, which is quite niche. I didn't expect you to know the goods and have really good taste." "Well, thank you." I was a little embarrassed by the compliment. "But why are you?" The stylist was used to being exquisite. Looking at the white t-shirt that couldn't be more ordinary, he frowned and organized his words. "You are dressed so, simple. I feel that your taste is not what ordinary people have." The stylist has been in the fashion industry for so many years, and his eyes have long been as sharp as needles. Well-known brands are easy to say, but if you picked out two pieces of such a niche luxury brand, if you didn't specifically learn about it, then you are used to using this brand. In short, it is unlikely that an ordinary company clerk can have it. Could it be that some young lady came out to clean up the workplace? Looking at her submissive attitude, it doesn't seem like it. I was a little confused by the question. Why are you wearing so simple? Going to work is like going to the grave. Keeping your clothes clean and tidy is the greatest respect for the boss, right? What else do you want? Although everyone has a desire for beauty, the past was the past and the present is now. Now I just feel that nothing is as real as a salary increase at work. I scratched my head and skipped the question he asked. Har, then I will take it as a compliment, thank you. The stylist paused. He wanted to test, but he didn't expect that this person's understanding was not on the same channel as his. He laughed, forget it. Anyway, no matter what others like, it's none of his business. After the makeup was done, the stylist nodded with great satisfaction, perfect. Xiao Wu was also very satisfied. Maybe it was because of my preconceived impression that he was going to roar in the next second. But his tone was very relaxed and casual. In fact, I didn't want her to do the makeup. It's just simple and clean. But it's more suitable for your perfume advertisement to be more exquisite. Okay, it's getting late, hurry up and shoot. The flash focused on me, and I was instantly very nervous. I held the product in my hand and didn't move. But Xiao Wu surprisingly didn't curse, but became very patient. Under the influence of his attitude, I gradually calmed down, and I really got into the state and completed the shooting according to his feeling. When the shooting was completed, it was already dark. Xiao Wu was busy checking after taking the photos. At this time, he was discussing with the photo retoucher and had no time to pay attention to me. I changed my clothes, my heart was pounding, and I always felt like I had forgotten something. When Ning Qingyu handed the USB drive to me, I just reacted a little. Did the boss ask me to take the USB drive and come back soon? It seems a bit too late now. I hurriedly opened my phone and found more than a dozen missed calls. The latest one was 5 minutes ago. And they were all from the boss. Are you in a hurry to reincarnate? I quickly changed my clothes and packed my things. Ning Qingyu stood aside, neither helping nor stopping me. You helped me a lot today. I want to treat you to a meal. If you need anything urgent, I'll take you there. Okay? I agreed subconsciously, and suddenly remembered that it was past the end of the get-off work day and I couldn't go back to the company. I should go home. Back to the boss's home. Forget it, I'll go back by myself. I shook my head. Thank you, Sister Ning. I'm in a hurry to finish the documents, so I'll go back first. Okay, then be careful. When I saw the ostentatious Maserati, my alarm bells were ringing. Boss. My face was as calm as water, but my heart was already howling like a ghost. Why? Why did I see Pei Qian downstairs in the photography base? Chapter 13. You said it to Zhuo Shao. Pei Qian leaned against the front of the car, his face was very bad, and he walked towards me when he saw me coming down. Boss, listen to my explanation. He had a stern face and pulled me out without saying a word. What do you need to explain? I called you more than a dozen times and you didn't answer. You are really bold. I felt guilty when I thought of the dozen missed calls. It's not what you think. What do you think? Pei Qian snorted. I don't care at all. But boss, you look very angry. I didn't know what to say for a while, but it's always better to admit your mistakes first. Anyway, I was wrong, boss. But I really didn't mean it. Please don't deduct my salary. You're quick to learn to slide and kneel. He stared at my face with a strange look on his face. He looked at me for a while before stuffing me into the passenger seat, walked around the front of the car, and got in the car. I felt a little uneasy when he was staring at me, so I quietly looked up to observe his expression. Pei Qian's face was cold, and his eyes suddenly glanced at me, but when I noticed him, he turned back. Hurry up and fasten your seat belt. Oh. I lowered my head to fasten my seat belt, and the boss's voice came faintly from the side. Did you dress up? What did you go for? Oh, this. I touched my face. I was in a hurry to change clothes and didn't have time to remove my makeup, but the makeup artist's skills are quite good, and the makeup is also daily and light, so it shouldn't look strange. Didn't you just go to get a document? How did you have time to put on makeup? You said you would go and come back quickly, but you didn't show up for the whole afternoon. Is this how you reported your trip to your boss? Pei Qian's face became uglier and uglier, and his body got closer and closer, so close that I could feel the airflow of his breath on my skin, and it was slightly itchy when it brushed against my body. I was wearing a seat belt, so it was difficult to hide, so I could only look directly into his eyes. Boss, I was wrong. Let me explain. As I was speaking, an idea suddenly popped up in my mind. I felt that my boss was like a wife who was sulking after catching her cheating, and I was being interrogated like a husband who had made a mistake. Bar. I shook off the idea in my mind, met Pei Qian's gaze again, and said honestly, I went to shoot a commercial. Huh. Pei Qian raised his eyebrows slightly, his eyes still gloomy, even resentful, staring at me. Tell me, I want to hear what else you can say. I lost the information of Project A, and I came here to get the USB flash drive. I honestly explained my mistake and handed over the USB flash drive that Ning Qingyu gave me as evidence. When I was about to come here, the person in charge happened to be at the photography base, and then there happened to be a shortage of people for the commercial, so I took over. I muttered and told the whole process again. The photographer is Mr. Xiao Wu, who is very famous in the industry. At first, I thought he had a bad temper, but he turned out to be very patient. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't have been able to complete the shoot. He also praised me, saying that I was smart and could understand things at once. Pei Qian felt a little uncomfortable and said fiercely, You believed me when I said you were smart. Don't you know what's in your head? The boss has been talking venomously for a long time. I have long been immune to it. I nodded to him seriously and said, I know. The boss was silent, and he shrank back and started the car. It seems that he believed it. No matter what, I have worked hard for the company, so there should be no danger of having my salary deducted. I lowered my head and replied to the message on my phone that I hadn't dealt with all afternoon. But I suddenly heard Pei Qian speak with a strange tone, so I looked up at him. He has a good eye. You are indeed a very suitable candidate. Oh. From time to time, white or yellow street lights shone into the car window, allowing me to see the boss's handsome profile. It seemed that the area below his ears was red. After returning home, Pei Qian went straight into the kitchen in a sullen manner. Didn't you have dinner? Eat it. He put the warm dinner on the dining table with a cold tone. He even left some food for me. I was a little flattered, thank you, boss. If nothing else, I always suspected that the boss went abroad not to study, but to improve his cooking skills. Otherwise, you can't make such a delicious meal without some skills. For example, this red wine beef brisket, I almost cried after taking a bite. It was simply incomparable to the beef cubes in the instant noodles of Office Animals. Look at your little achievement. Pei Qian sat opposite me with a look of disgust on his face, the corners of his mouth slightly raised, and propped up his chin to watch me eat. I was eating and suddenly remembered, oh, boss, how do you know where I am? Do I need to ask? Didn't you make enough noise in the company during the day? I can guess the whole story. It's not difficult to find you. Pei Qian used to speak in a disdainful tone. Oh. At this time, the phone rang suddenly. I glanced at the caller ID and saw that it was an unfamiliar number. Except for important relatives and friends, I never save phone numbers. This might be a colleague. I pressed the answer button without thinking much. Hello? Is this Ching Ching? A loud male voice came from the phone. When I heard it, I didn't care about the boss's face that smelled like a sore. I raised the phone and said, yes, are you teacher Chia Wu? A series of hearty laughter came from the phone, quite friendly, but a pair of slender hands suddenly took the phone from me. What are you doing? Give it back to me. I whispered and tried to grab the phone. Pei Qian pressed my forehead with one hand and pressed the speakerphone with the other hand in front of me, then turned up the volume of the phone to the maximum. Hello. I didn't get a response from the other side for a long time, so I quickly responded, yes, teacher Chia Wu. I looked at Pei Qian indignantly, not understanding what kind of magic gold he was sending again. Excuse me, is there anything I can do for you? If not, I have to hang up first. Something. The other side hurriedly said, I will leave Haicheng in a few days, but I always feel that I haven't taken enough photos today. Har har har, so I specially asked Qingyu for your contact information. It's a pity that your figure and temperament are only used for that advertisement. You can have more room to play. I haven't met such a spiritual amateur for a long time. If possible, I would like to hire you as a model in my studio. Don't worry about not knowing the business or anything like that. You can rest assured that I will teach you. I have never thought about being a model. Seeing the boss's dark face, I realized that the opportunity to express my sincerity had come, so I immediately said, no, Mr. Chia Wu, thank you for your appreciation, but I still want to be a screw in the company and shine. Pei Qian's eyebrows were raised proudly, but he didn't say anything. That's a pity. I heard from Qingyu that you seem to be quite short of money. Models' salaries are quite high, with a minimum of 20,000 a month. Mr. Zhuo. I was immediately tempted. How much do you say the salary is? 20,000. Well, it's not necessary to be a screw. Ding. The phone was hung up. Pei Qian's face became particularly gloomy. He threw the phone aside and grabbed my hand tightly. Chapter 14 No Job Change. My 20,000. The call was hung up. I was a little unhappy, and pulled my hand back from his grasp. Boss, isn't this a bit rude? Pei Qian had a gloomy face, grabbed my wrist and led me to him. I stumbled, my nose hit his chest, and I grimaced in pain. I heard his voice from above my head. 20,000 can poach you from the company? Do I treat you unfairly or what? The phone rang again. It was the same number. Pei Qian did not hang up this time, but pressed the answer button. A puzzled voice came from the other end. What's the matter? Did you accidentally hang up? Chia Wu, you poach people in front of me. Pei Qian changed his silent attitude and said coldly. Mr. Pei. Their voice on the other end was so shocked that it was about to overflow the screen. At this time, how could you be with Su Qingqing? She lives with me now. Do you understand? Do you need me to repeat it again? Are you still poaching people? Chia Wu was so shocked that he was stunned for a long time before he said. You should have said it earlier. No, I should have known earlier. No, no more poaching. How dare I poach your people? After that, the phone was busy and the other party hung up. I was so shocked. A job with a salary of 20,000 yuan was gone just like that. Boss, you. Why do you have to do such a thing that hurts the enemy by 1,000 and hurts yourself by 800? Chia Wu is famous in the industry and is also famous for his bad mouth. If this continues, it's fine for me, but boss, your reputation will be in jeopardy. Don't worry, being my assistant is also the same price. Pei Qian blocked the phone number on my phone while speaking, gritting his teeth and said, salary increase, yes. But don't think about changing jobs. I was stunned, and a huge surprise overwhelmed me. Just salary increase? And it increased so much. Really? Pei Qian snorted coldly, and couldn't help but smile at the corner of his lips, but his tone was very serious. Really? 20,000, not a cent more or less, performance depends on your performance. I couldn't believe it. It turned out that salary increase can also be provoked. Do you still dare to think about changing jobs? No. But later, when I knew the truth, I just wanted to slap myself. This is not a provocation, it is clearly a promotion in name but a punishment in reality. On the day I became a special assistant, the boss directly added a zero to the salary column for me in the finance department, which was more than 20,000. Because I had sorted it out once, I was familiar with the content of Project A, so I handled it easily and finished the file quickly. I learned my lesson this time and made a backup copy before handing it over to my colleague. When the people in the secretary's office saw me, they immediately became quiet. Some of them lowered their heads and held their phones to type passionately. I was a little surprised, so I asked my colleague Chen Ryu what was going on. Don't you know? Xu Shi. I was a little less interested, but I asked anyway, so I listened to what he said. Xu Shi's salary was deducted by the boss. He was in a bad mood today and asked for leave. Chen Ryu whispered to me. It's right. She is usually superior to others in the secretary's office, as if we are all her slaves. To put it bluntly, we all got into the company through the back door. Who is more noble than who? Yesterday, when I was about to get off work, the boss suddenly asked me where I was. How could I know? I only said that you asked me for information about Project A, but I didn't have it. You might have gone to find the person in charge. Then the boss went back. After a while, I don't know how he got to know that you and Xu Shi had a conflict in the tea break room, so he called Xu Shi to his office. You didn't seeing that, Xu Shi's face was about to bloom when she went there. Chen Ryu described the scene vividly. She was as ostentatious as she could be, but she was criticized for provoking trouble and destroying the harmony of the company, and her performance this month was deducted. I thought of what the boss said last night, he really knew what happened yesterday. Seeing my expression of sudden enlightenment, Chen Ryu was very surprised. So you really blocked the chat group? The gossip in the group is going to explode. Almost. I didn't block it, I just didn't feel like reading it. It was quite novel when I first joined the company, and I would read all the messages one by one, but later I found that they were all boring and water content, so I didn't read them much anymore. Chen Ryu couldn't help but ask gossipingly, the boss was really fierce yesterday. Is he like this in private? I nodded. She gasped, why is he like this? You guys, did that, is he still so fierce? Too much. It's not what you think, my boss and I are innocent. I almost raised my hand and swore, we were just forced to be quarantined together for a few days. Really? Chen Ryu looked at me with suspicion, but you came with him these days, and the boss supported you yesterday. Because my community has also been quarantined, I opened the community group notification expressionlessly. I am still temporarily living in the boss's house, it's really not what you think. What happened yesterday, no matter which boss will punish the employee who caused trouble. Chen Ryu saw the notification on my phone clearly and slapped her thigh, it's true. The scrutiny in her eyes turned into sympathy, You haven't had a hard time during this period. You are really hard-working. I almost couldn't help but redden my eyes. It's not hard, it's for others, the boss. Facts have proved that slacking off and gossiping at work is an irresistible instinct for workers. In just a few days, everyone from the head of the HR department to the front desk of the company knew the truth about my cohabitation with the boss. When Shushi came back to the company, the colleagues beside him were still whispering. So Shushi's incident was not Su Qingqing's fault. She was the one who started it. Su Qingqing is so miserable. I would be happy to do it. The boss is handsome and rich. Just think about it. After work, you go home to a cold boss. You can't even relax. Oh, so scary. No wonder the boss has scolded less recently. It turns out that someone is carrying the burden for us. Mr. Dae. Mr. Dae. Shushi suddenly sneered, you have all been deceived by Su Qingqing. That shouldn't be the case. She just wants to deceive you and monopolize the boss. She looks honest and well-behaved on the surface, but I don't know what tricks she uses behind the scenes to lure the boss. Shushi's eyes were slightly dark, and jealousy grew wildly in his eyes like weeds. She is very scheming. You should be careful. Don't let her trick you one day. The colleagues looked at each other and half believed and half doubted what Shushi said. Shushi, you are bright if you spread rumors and say bad things about people behind their backs. Chen Ryu couldn't bear it anymore and said, don't be so dark. Chapter 15 Male or Female? Shushi's face turned green and red. I am her college classmate. I know her morals better than you do. Now I am reminding you. But I don't think she has to lie to us. Yes. If you don't believe it, forget it. Shushi turned around suddenly, and the document slapped on the table with a loud noise. TSK, what kind of person is that? Chen Ryu rolled her eyes, and the other colleagues didn't want to cause trouble, so they all dispersed and left. Shushi sat at her workstation, unwillingly clenching her fists. Don't believe it? Why don't they believe it? She has evidence. Hello? Qingqing. Sister Ning? What's wrong? What's the matter? I was processing documents on my computer and answered the call with my phone on my shoulder. Ning Qingyu on the other side chuckled, it's not a big deal, I just want to thank you. The set of promotional photos taken a few days ago is very good. We selected a few photos as the preview version for promotion. The response is very good. It's also on the hot search. Ning Qingyu said, thank you so much for your help. You are my lucky star. If you don't mind, do you have time? I'll treat you to dinner, Qingqing. Her tone pleaded, and I couldn't refuse, sure. That's great. Well, what do you want to eat? Whatever you want, I'm not picky. Then see you tonight at XX restaurant. I hung up the phone after chatting for a few words, and then continued to process the documents. After I was free, Ning Qingyu's words just popped into my mind. The preview was promoted and it was trending on the search results. I clicked on Weibo and searched it. Suddenly I realized why Ning Qingyu had to thank me. The promotional photos posted by the official account were very popular. I clicked in to see that the discussion was very intense. Isn't it said online that it was Sister Ling? Who is this? It seems to be an amateur. She is so beautiful. This style is unique and very eye-catching. I'm looking forward to the product. It feels very good. No matter what, amateurs can't compare to celebrities. If Sister Ling is here, the effect will definitely be doubled. The brand is confused. Forget it, I still like this amateur. This set of promotional photos has reached a new level because of her concept. Forget about a certain celebrity. The fans of that celebrity and passers-by started to fight, and the popularity of the post became higher and higher. Well, this is considered a good job, right? However, I seem to have offended the celebrity called Sister Ling for no reason. No wonder Ning Qingyu felt so guilty and insisted on treating me to a meal. I don't care. Being scolded by fans won't affect my promotion and salary increase. It's just that I have to ask for leave from my boss, which is a bit of a headache. Ask for leave? What for? Pei Qian was originally looking at the display screen with a cold expression on his face, his thin lips slightly pursed, and he looked serious. When he heard what I said, he immediately raised his head. It's not a leave, it's just reporting the itinerary. Someone invited me to dinner tonight. A man or a woman? A woman, you should know her, the person in charge of Project A, Sister Ning. Do you know her well? She's my college classmate. Pei Qian's lips curled up, his expression as proud as a Persian cat. Okay. You have to report your itinerary like this in the future. You are not allowed to leave without saying goodbye. Yes, boss. The boss reminded me of the counselor in college. No matter what you do, you have to get to the bottom of it. But the advantage of reporting your itinerary is that you can take a ride in the boss's car. Come back early. Pei Qian said to me before leaving. When we arrived at the restaurant, Ning Qingyu hurried over and said in surprise, "Qingqing, you are here. Everything is ready, only Qingqing is missing." She took me into the restaurant, which was decorated in a very stylish way. The promotion was very successful this time, and you and Teacher Qiao Wu are both great contributors. Originally, I wanted to ask Teacher Qiao Wu to come with us, but he refused because of his full schedule, and we didn't have the face to do so. Ning Qingyu smiled straightforwardly, not minding at all. I thought of what the boss said to him a few nights ago, and felt a little guilty. The dishes were served quickly in the restaurant, and Ning Qingyu picked up dishes for me while chatting with me from time to time. "Qingqing, have you seen the hot searches on Weibo?" "I have. Don't worry about it. Those fans of Diana have made up a lot of false information about you. We have tried our best to suppress the bad comments about you." Ning Qingyu looked extremely guilty. Although the final effect is very good, it has caused a bad influence on you. I shrugged and said indifferently, "It doesn't matter." Really, it doesn't matter. What's the big deal? Seeing that I really didn't care, Ning Qingyu breathed a sigh of relief. Har har har, that's good. She talked to me for a while and told me how others saw me in college. When she said this, Ning Qingyu's face darkened. Xu Shi is a guy who is particularly good at spreading rumors. I remember she said a lot of bad things about you behind your back. Is she your colleague? Be careful of her. Halfway through the meal, Ning Qingyu's phone rang. Hey. The other side seemed to say a lot of things in a hurry. Ning Qingyu stopped chewing, her face changed, and she screamed, "What?" I was startled by her, but I didn't forget to continue stuffing meat into my mouth. What's wrong? Qingqing, stop eating. Huh? Is there anything that can't be done after eating? It's urgent, there's no time to delay. Ning Qingyu's expression was ugly, and she stuffed the phone into my hand. Hurry up and see it yourself. I looked down at the phone interface, and it was a post with a hot search sign, which was now on the top of the hot search list. The top entry was very simple: Xiaosan Secretary Room Deji. Me? No, you asked me not to eat first, just to read gossip. I swallowed the food, didn't even click to read it, and pushed the phone back. Sorry, I'm not interested. I was even confused why such a tacky post could be popular. Can you please take a look at the specific content? Ning Qingyu's face was rarely serious. This is about you. Those crazy fans finally got the chance to black you. Now their whole network is scolding you. Didn't you say that there were black fans who fabricated black material to black me? Fake is fake, just ignore it. I waved my hand, looking calm. Ning Qingyu was silent for a few seconds, her face changed again, and then she said, "But this post doesn't seem to be fake. Qingqing, you should quit." Huh? I looked up and looked at her in shock. Sister Ning, what do you mean? Although my company is not big, my father is great. There is still a bright future for you to follow me. Ning Qingyu grabbed my hand with pity and cursed, "It's better than your damn boss." Boss? What does it have to do with the boss? I realized that the content of the post was not simple, and quickly raised my fingertips to click in. Chapter 16, One Post to the End. A secretary becomes a third party for her superior. Is this a distortion of human nature or a loss of morality? When I saw the title, the corners of my mouth couldn't help but twitch. If nothing unexpected happens, this secretary will probably be me. I flipped through it casually and found that it was filled with not only a lot of insults against me, but also some talk about my boss. After all, she is a figure who appears in financial magazines and business interviews all year round, a flower on the mountain top. The boss figure and temperament are comparable to those of celebrities in the entertainment industry, so he will definitely be a hot topic as soon as he appears. Unexpectedly, the first thing that came into everyone's view was that he had stepped down from the altar on his own and was involved in a romantic scandal with his assistant. It's hard not to attract attention, isn't it? In return, I was scolded even more harshly. There is an amateur named Su who was rumored to have defeated the famous star Ling Shuyu, who is famous for her beauty. She has been involved in a lot of scandals and controversies recently. This post completely convinced me. A drop of clean water cannot make an ink pool clear, but a drop of ink can make the entire pool dirty. Just this one post makes all the other negative information seem more credible. My right eyelid twitched and my eyes quickly scanned the post. The content is very complex, but the general meaning is: I, Su Qingqing, knowing that my boss has a fiancée, still openly seduced and provoked him, and stole his love. Is she a mistress who will do anything to get to the top? Her acting skills are comparable to those of a movie queen. She deceived her colleagues in the company and is a real secretary's office Deiji. I never thought that these words would one day be used to describe me. This is too much of a compliment to me. If it were just the above few lines of text, it would be fine. It's purely the rivals who fabricated the negative information, and passers-by just treat it as a joke and let it go. But the most unique thing about this post is that it has pictures and truth. In addition to some pictures used as auxiliary evidence, the most explosive pictures were placed at the front by the poster. The first picture shows a blue Maserati parked on the side of the road, with the scene inside the car window enlarged and circled. The woman in the car held the man's face in front of her. The light was dim, and from the angle taken with the mobile phone, the two people looked like they were kissing. Although the woman's appearance was blurry, she could still make out the details clearly. The moment I saw it, my pupils trembled. Is this me? It seems like it's really me. I remember this dress. I wore it when I accompanied my boss to Jiang Ji's drinking party. I accidentally got drunk that night. I didn't remember anything when I woke up, but my boss also said that nothing happened. If it's true, I've already sent it. So I speculate that this picture was most likely taken with a borrowed angle. But because of preconceived notions, especially after being guided by the poster, others thought that I was actively seducing the boss. The second picture was taken at night when I got into my boss car. The third picture, this time it was in the morning, I got off my boss car. The fourth picture was taken in the office. I was holding a project plan in my hand, and my boss was leaning next to me, instructing me with a pen. The poster also explained very thoughtfully, this was the Vixen secretary asking for advice from her boss. I wiped off the sweat. If it were just the above, at most two people would be together. Although it's a pity that the boss cabbage was taken away by a pig like me, at most he would just scold me for being unworthy, but it wouldn't have come to this point. The most crucial picture, and the one that black fans use most to hype up the issue, is the fifth picture. That was a picture that was used as evidence of adultery. In fact, it is just a suit with lipstick marks, but the position is very obvious, giving people a provocative feeling at first glance. The poster claimed to be the boss's fiancée and cried to netizens. This isn't the first time. I just can't stand it anymore. How can she be so arrogant? She doesn't even take me, the real boss, seriously. Now that Brother Pei isn't back, I don't even dare to look at his eyes. He and I were originally very loving, how could this happen? The content published by the poster is very suggestive, and the previous pictures are very real. Sometimes people won't believe something that is too true, and even less will they believe something that is too false. But when truth and falsehood are mixed together, it becomes difficult to distinguish. When netizens who didn't know the truth saw this, they all started to comfort the poster and cursed me for being a mistress. Less than a day after this post was published, it was reposted crazily. The posts in the related entries are all insulting me. I looked at my phone in silence. First of all, I have never seen my boss wear that suit. Secondly, apart from that photo shoot, I rarely wear lipstick. Could the lipstick marks have been kissed on by the poster herself? Ning Qingyu glanced at my face cautiously. Qingqing, are you okay? I looked up at her. Sister Ning, why are you asking me this all of a sudden? Why should I be in trouble? Didn't Mr. Pei lie to you? Ning Qingyu said indignantly, who would have thought that he had a fiancée and was still hooking up with you? I was stunned. Sister Ning actually found a blind spot in a post that was entirely accusing me. I believe you are not that kind of person. Ning Qingyu held my hand and said with the most certainty, you must have been kept in the dark by him, right? This kind of man is the most disgusting. No. I didn't expect that he would be that kind of person. Don't be sad, don't feel sad for that scumbag. I'm going to go online right now to clarify for you and say that you are innocent. If it is really clarified in this way, it is really hard to explain. Hey. I hurriedly stopped Ning Qingyu and scratched my head. Is there a possibility that there is nothing going on between me and the boss? Whether he has a fiancée or not, it has nothing to do with me. What? Ning Qingyu looked at me, then at her phone, and was a little incoherent for a moment. But that photo is real. I explained it to her again. Ning Qingyu was shocked after hearing this. So, you're just staying at your boss's house temporarily because of quarantine? What's said in that post is not true. I nodded. Ning Qingyu held her forehead and said, My dear aunt, you are so careless. Your boss is also a man, aren't you afraid that he will do something beastly? He doesn't think highly of me. I shrugged and complained, my boss at home only makes me work overtime. Ning Qingyu choked, as if she wanted to say something. But in the end I didn't say it. He just sighed, patted my shoulder, and said earnestly, Don't just focus on work, look at things outside of work. Anything other than work. I racked my brains and thought, apart from a pay raise, I'm not interested in anything else. Fine. Ning Qingyu coughed, however, although I know that this post is a rumor, netizens don't know it. She clicked on the post again and frowned deeply. There are already thousands of comments under the post. We should find a way to clarify it right now. Now the direction of public opinion has evolved from me being a mistress in the company and seducing the boss to get promoted to me sleeping with different men every night. Chapter 17, He's got an affair with a woman. When I first saw the promotional photos, I found a sense of resonance in her photos, but now it seems that it was all an illusion. This woman probably seduced more than just her boss. She's probably entangled with all the men in the project team. Otherwise, how could she, an amateur, get the chance to work with Sister Ling? What's going on now? In your prime years, why would you want to sell your body to get something for nothing? The person upstairs shouldn't pretend to be a good person. She might be selling it. As the popularity grew, the insults against me became more and more disgusting. It even reached the level of mindless attack. Ning Qing was furious, damn it. Where's my sword? I'm going to use my 40-meter-long sword to chop these idiots. The decibel of her voice suddenly rose. Although there were decorative walls separating each table in the restaurant, providing good privacy, it did not mean that it was soundproof. I quickly covered her mouth and said, Be careful. Ning Qingyu immediately reacted and realized that I was now at the center of public opinion and it would be no good to be too conspicuous. She whispered indignantly, These people are going too far. It's all my fault. If I hadn't asked you for help, you wouldn't have been slandered by that group of people. Ning Qingyu hugged my hand, her tone full of guilt. Qing, I'm sorry for you. I shook my head, it's okay. Didn't I actually turn a disaster into a blessing that day and get a salary increase? I have to thank Sister Ning for this. I said, it's no use blaming myself, and if anyone should be blamed, it should be the person who started the rumor. Thinking of their fiancé, who took the lead in spreading rumors, Ning Qingyu became angry. I really don't understand what the person who spreads rumors is thinking. Let's not talk about whether she is really my fiancé, but isn't she going too far? Ning Qingyu pointed at the reply from the poster under the post, She must be a god of gold. I looked in the direction she pointed, and saw that as the post gained popularity, the poster began to post ostentatiously in the comment section. Especially the comment that suspected that I slept with many men. I don't know, but it might be the case. Otherwise, how could such an ordinary person like her get such a photo shoot? As soon as she replied, many netizens eagerly asked whether the poster was the real person. The poster didn't say it clearly, and replied vaguely, He didn't let me say it. So it's true. Do you even need to ask? Isn't this a disguised admission? Oh my god, is that Secretary Sue really a mistress? She doesn't look like one, it feels like love at first sight. You can't judge a person by his appearance, don't you know? The more innocent they look, the more despicable they are at heart. Because of the vague, hard evidence given by the poster, public discussion has intensified. The popularity that had just dropped has suddenly come back to life and is even rising sharply. I scratched the screen casually and glanced at the time in the upper left corner. It's a bit late. Ning Qingyu said contemptuously, This person is jumping up and down. I don't believe that Mr. Pei has such a frivolous fiancé. Wait a minute, this guy has a point. Ning Qingyu pulled me and suddenly her eyes lit up. Don't you doubt the authenticity of the post? The account of this poster is not very active. I haven't seen any connection between her and Mr. Pei's account before. It popped up so suddenly. I suspect it's fake. Many people responded to this comment, but there were more curses. Do you have eyes? How can it be fake if the photo is posted? She is the president's fiancée. She would never hang out with us on social media. She only made this appeal because she was so angry with the secretary that she couldn't stand it anymore. You are the secretary, right? You are capable of making excuses for yourself but not coming out to apologize, right? After all this, not only did it not make the situation clearer, but it made it even darker. Ning Qingyu's fingers trembled as she scrolled across the screen. Finally, she slammed the table in anger. You can't stand my temper. I have to clarify for you. The table was slammed so hard that it made a loud noise. If we continue to stay like this, we will be scolded even if the restaurant has good sound insulation and privacy. I had no choice but to hold her back. Okay, Sister Ning, it's getting late, I should go back. Ning Qingyu looked at my calm and nonchalant face and sighed. It's true that the emperor is not anxious, but the eunuch is. Qingqing, you are worthy of being me. Pei Qian subconsciously cooked 2 meals tonight. When he finished, he realized that his assistant had a date with someone else that night. Don't eat at home. Looking at the empty living room, Pei Qian pursed his lips tightly, looking a little unhappy. It shouldn't he have been approved so easily. The meal was tasteless. Pei Qian threw down his chopsticks after finishing his meal and stared at the food across the table. He decided to take the food to keep it warm. Maybe the person came back not full? It's shameful to waste food. Thinking of this, Pei Qian's eyes curved unconsciously. When will you be back? He typed with one hand, editing the message and even thinking of the next sentence, I'll pick you up. At this moment, a phone call suddenly came in. Pei Qian's face turned black and he almost hung up the phone. The person who called was his childhood friend Liu Chu, a playboy who was unruly and had constant gossip about him. But he seldom contacts this guy, so why did he call him suddenly? Hello? Say it now. Brother Qian, did you know? You're on the news. Liu Chu yelled. Is this something very unusual? Pei Qian said impatiently, his delicate brows slightly furrowed. No, it's that kind of gossip. Do you understand? You actually had a scandal with a woman. Liu Chu said happily. I didn't even know you had a fiancé. Har har har. Pei Qian was silent for a while, pursed his lips and said nothing, with a cold look in his eyes. After waiting for a long time, he hesitated and said, Oh no, you don't know. How would I know? Hurry up and have this rumor-mongering news removed. Oh my God, who is so brave as to pretend to be your fiancé? But I saw an acquaintance in the news. Who? The one I saw at the party that day seemed to be your assistant. Pei Qian was stunned. Su Qingqing. It seems so. Pei Qian's frown relaxed, and the coldness in his words disappeared in an instant. He hated being tied up the most, but if it was his assistant, it wasn't impossible. Anyway, this kind of news sank after a while. That's fine, whatever. Everything is all right. Liu Chu sounded shocked. You don't really have a fiancé, do you? Is there a third person? Pei Qian's brows, which had just relaxed, twisted again. Liu Chu was speechless. Well, why don't you just watch it yourself? After saying that, Liu Chu hung up the phone and sent a link over. When he saw the title, Pei Qian frowned uncomfortably. Chapter 18. The rice is delicious. When I got home, my boss was sitting in the living room, scrolling his mouse and looking at something. He looked gloomy, with deep black eyes and expressionless face. It was the first time I saw a boss with such a low mood. I couldn't help but slow down my movements, but Pei Qian still heard the moment the door closed. He suddenly turned his head to look at me. My heart tightened. When he saw me, his expression improved a little, and he snorted coldly, Why don't you let me pick you up? How dare I ask the boss to come? I waved my hands quickly. I'm already grateful that you let me stay with you. Haven't I already said it? I don't make money by selling my time. Pei Qian said as he walked over to me with long legs. He looked at me with disdain, but the corners of his mouth curled up unconsciously. Besides, you are my assistant, doing things for me. Your time is more valuable than mine. I couldn't help but feel jealous. It seemed to be the case. Let me pick you up when you come back, okay? Oh. If that's the case, then I want to be polite. There aren't many opportunities to treat your boss like a driver. I thought about Weibo. Boss, do you read Weibo? Although I don't care too much, it involves the boss after all, and it has tarnished his image to a certain extent, so I can't guarantee that he doesn't care. Pei Qian's eyes flashed with coldness, and he uttered a muffled sound from his nose. I have already contacted the public relations department, you don't have to be afraid. What am I afraid of? I was a little confused. Don't worry, boss. I won't let public opinion affect my work. Please don't fire me or deduct my salary because of this. I am also a victim. Pei Qian's face darkened, and he stared at me with dark eyes. Of course. I'm not the black-hearted boss that some people say I am. I coughed twice out of guilt as he stared at me. You have been caught in this misfortune, but don't think too much about it. I didn't contact the PR team for your sake. I just can't get over it. Pei Qian turned his head away, pursing his thin lips. When I heard that it would not affect my work, I was very happy. Hey, okay, boss. Don't worry, I know myself well. After saying that, I suddenly felt the atmosphere, which had finally gotten better, drop again. The boss returned to the sofa and worked in silence, but he turned around and faced me with his back. I'm used to my boss's mood swings, so I shrugged and went back to my job. At this moment, my stomach suddenly growled, "Gu." I was so embarrassed that I froze in place. I can eat a little, but it's not my fault. The food served in the restaurant was little and in small portions, and I hadn't finished eating when something unexpected happened, so of course I didn't have a full dinner. It was just so embarrassing that I pretended not to see the boss and planned to run to the kitchen refrigerator to see if there was anything to eat. Pei Qian in the living room suddenly coughed. For some reason, the boss's mood seemed to improve all of a sudden. Pei Qian stood up, walked towards me, and went straight into the kitchen. I watched him smoothly take out the warm food from the kitchen. Eat quickly, or it will be cold again later. Pei Qian placed the things on the dining table and turned to look at me expressionlessly. Oh. Okay. I sat at the dining table in a daze. Boss, did you leave some food for me? My mind felt a little fuzzy, maybe because I was hungry. I always felt like something was not right. But when I put the first bite of food in my mouth, I didn't want to think about anything. The rice is so delicious. The next day when I went to work with my boss, I was thinking. Public opinion is in an uproar right now. Although my boss and I only have a pure employment relationship, should I avoid suspicion for the sake of his image? I remember that my boss asked me to be careful so that bad people wouldn't take advantage of me and spread rumors. I didn't expect that I would actually be taken advantage of. And it was quite fierce. Although my boss didn't seem to blame me, it did bring some negative impact to the company. So, as a result, while I was thinking, the boss's car had already driven to the front of the company in broad daylight. There is no intention of avoiding suspicion at all. Well, since the boss doesn't care about this cabbage, then I don't have to worry about it. I entered the company as usual with an open mind. I was working and processing documents as usual, and it seemed that the public opinion had no impact on me. But it is impossible to have no impact. I sent the file to Chen Ryu. Chen Ryu changed her previous gossipy attitude, rolled her eyes at me, and pulled the file away from me. I looked at my empty palms and noticed that the atmosphere in the secretary's office seemed completely different from the previous few days. Shushi walked over to me with a smug look on his face, looked at my face, and seemed to be startled. Hey, Qingqing, were you unable to sleep because of the scolding on Weibo yesterday? You look so bad. I blinked and looked at her in surprise. No, I had a good night's sleep. How did you know I looked bad? Shushi was speechless and couldn't explain it for a while. Because I actually looked pretty good, she just said that on purpose because she wanted to make trouble for me. Sweet dream. You can actually still sleep. Shushi couldn't answer, so he changed his tone and said sarcastically. She pointed at the dark circles under Chen Ryu's eyes and said, You've pissed off your colleagues so much that they can't sleep. Are you mad at me? Chen Ryu did seem to be in a bad state and was very resentful towards me today. Not only Chen Ryu, but other colleagues as well. But what does it have to do with me? I thought to myself that I have not done anything against the law or to harm the interests of my colleagues. Chen Ryu suddenly stood up and pointed at me angrily. I've read all the gossip on Weibo. I never thought you were this kind of person. I was so ashamed that I spoke up for you when Shushi reminded us. I pointed at myself, speechless. Ong? What happened to me? What did Shushi say? But Chen Ryu was probably afraid of revenge from me, so she sat back and said nothing, and the other colleagues in the secretariat did the same. Although the entire secretary's office was quiet, there was an atmosphere that kept me away. This is not my office. I'm just here to deliver documents and leave when I'm done. I turned around and was about to leave, but Shushi suddenly stopped me. Aren't you curious about what I reminded them of? I watched Shushi fiddling with her newly done manicure in silence, and said, "Can you please move aside? You're blocking me." Shushi's expression froze for a moment. I just told them. I asked them to be on the lookout for you, lest a mistress like you were to steal their house someday. She looked at me triumphantly, trying to see a sad or angry expression on my face. But Shushi was disappointed. My expression was normal, and I replied calmly, "Oh. The innocent are innocent. That post is fake. Believe it or not." After saying that, I left. Do I care about what my colleagues think? If I cared about what others think, I would have stopped living since college. After I left, Shushi stayed where he was, his eyes full of gloom and sneer. Chapter 19. Give me the phone. When I returned to my assistant's workstation, I saw that my boss had sent me a WeChat message. The time was 2 minutes ago, and he asked me to go to his office. I didn't reply, but he poked me several times. What's the urgent matter? I ran to the office without even having time to pack up. There were already people in the office, and the boss saw me and motioned for me to go in. "Boss, the public relations department held a meeting last night and the advice given was to give it a cold shoulder." The PR manager pushed up his reflective glasses and said, "Although this rumor has done great harm to Ms. Su's image, it is not primarily aimed at the company. If it gets out of hand, it will not be good for the company's image, but will instead attract negative attention. We will work to redress the public opinion against the company, but we are really powerless to do anything about Ms. Su's matter. After all, those photos are real. It's too difficult to clarify. Besides, there's no need for us to give them more topics to talk about. The most urgent task is to calm down the public opinion as soon as possible." I understand. Considering that the company is the most important, my life or death doesn't matter, right? I made a face behind the PR manager's back. Although I felt unhappy, I didn't say anything. After all, you can't ask the public relations department of a large company to ignore the interests of the company and worry about the work of a small assistant like me, right? I would scold my dad too. No. Unexpectedly, Pei Chen refused without even thinking. "Go check who took the photo. This is not a difficult task, it just takes some time." The PR manager knew that the proposal he provided was not ideal, so he quickly agreed to it. Pei Chen said coldly, "Not only should we suppress the public opinion on Weibo, but we should also send a lawyer's letter. All those malicious rumors and mad dogs that just bite randomly with their mouths open should be handed over to the lawyers for handling. This counterattack is so harsh." I quickly flattered him, "Boss, you are awesome." The public relations staff also agreed. As soon as the lawyer's letter is sent, the people who were jumping the loudest will immediately become as quiet as a chicken, and public opinion will die down in no time. Then, this news, which is not good for the company, will gradually sink into the corner of people's vision. But correspondingly, it will become more difficult for me to clear my reputation, and perhaps it will never be cleared. The boss looked at me and said in a tense tone, "Assistant Su, do you have anything else to add?" I didn't expect that an assistant like me would have to give advice, so I shook my head and said, "No more." "No more." Pei Chen frowned. "This matter has affected my reputation and must be clarified. Do you have any ideas?" "Clarify." I glanced at the public manager who was also an employee. "Boss, who doesn't have some gossip these days?" I think what Manager Lee said makes sense. Continuing to clarify will only bring bad reputation to the company. It's better to just ignore it. Manager Lee looked at me with gratitude. I smiled back magnanimously, but the boss's face darkened. "Manager Lee, get out." Manager Lee bowed and left in a hurry. I watched him leave, my mind wandering, when suddenly Pei Chen coughed. I just realized that it was just me and my boss who were left in the office. The stagnant air made me feel awkward, so I laughed dryly and said, "What boss?" I'm leaving now, nothing else. Wait. Pei Chen waved his hand coldly, come here. What? I moved over reluctantly. Pei Chen fetched a chair from somewhere, placed it next to his desk, and patted it, sit down. I hesitated, sat down with great trepidation, and asked cautiously, boss, what can I do for you? I'm trying to save my face. Pei Chen gritted his teeth and looked at me with a look of disappointment. Then I saw the boss took out his cell phone, which he almost only used to make calls, and started downloading software. After downloading, I started registering and brazenly used my real name. I had a bad feeling, boss, are you going to do this? What are you doing? Who is like you? You are so funny and smiling like nothing happened after being scolded like that. Pei Chen angrily registered the account and stretched out his hand to me, give me the phone. I hesitated for a moment, unlocked the phone and handed it to him. Boss, but Manager Li said. Pei Chen took the phone and opened my Weibo very naturally. He used my account to search for the account he had just registered, and then clicked to follow. I know, Pei Chen threw my phone back to me and started typing rapidly. I've come this far, and I've seen all kinds of storms. Are you afraid of this little bit of public opinion? He sneered, there's no need for the PR department to come out and clarify. I can do it myself. I was stunned and couldn't help but move forward to see the content of the post edited by the boss. He forwarded the rumor post and wrote, I don't have a fiancé at all, Su Qingqing is. Before I could finish reading, he deleted those lines and wrote again in a concise way, I have been single since birth, so some people should stay away from me. I felt myself getting shocked and stole a glance at my boss. It seems like I have uncovered some secrets. It turns out that the boss has been single since birth. Soon a subscription push from my following popped up. But I refreshed the page a few times, and 2 or 3 minutes passed, and no one saw the post. Actually, it's a good thing this way. There are so many mad dogs on the internet. Who knows if the person involved will attract unwarranted malicious suspicion and conspiracy theories after personally clarifying the matter. At this time, the phone rang. It was Sister Ning. I looked up at my boss, and he nodded, agreeing. Then I left the office to answer the phone. Hello? Sister Ning. Qingqing? That poster has posted again. Ning Qingyu's tone was filled with anxiety. What? Hey. It's hard to explain over the phone, come over here quickly. That poster has posted again. Ning Qingyu frowned and said, she said that you slept your way to the top. How could you get the position of assistant when you are obviously a loser? She also said that you might have had an affair with someone else before you met Boss Pei. This time they didn't post any evidence at all, they just took the lead in spreading rumors. How could there be such a person? Originally, that post involved President Pei, and your company's PR would at least suppress it quickly for the sake of its image. But this post is pure smear campaign against you. And Ning Qingyu paused for a moment, her face drooping and lifeless. And that famous star Ling Shuyu even forwarded that post. The current public opinion can't be calmed down by public relations. I seriously suspect that the poster is not Mr. Pei's fiancé at all. Qingqing, do you have a deep hatred with someone? She is trying to kill you. I thought about it carefully and shook my head. Ning Qingyu scratched her hair in annoyance, glanced at the screen, suddenly frowned, and rubbed her eyes hard. Wait, holy shit. Damn it, am I seeing this right? Why did the poster delete his account? Chapter 20 The Only Concern. What's the sales number? I almost suspected that I had deaf ears, so I clicked on the post that Ning Qingyu had sent me, and sure enough, it showed that it did not exist. At the same time, I found that my private message box on Weibo exploded. I looked at the dense and even growing number of red dot private messages, and for a moment I was a little hesitant to take action. This is the only person that President Pei cares about. Who is he? Could it be that amateur named Su? It's very possible. She liked the preview post. Wow, as soon as President Pei posted a message saying that he didn't have a fiancé and that no one should get involved, the poster felt guilty and deleted his account. Moreover, he only followed this account that is suspected to be Secretary Su's. I feel like I have smelled the truth. I calmly watched the private messages and comments that kept popping up. President Pei posted, what? My mind suddenly shook, and I clicked into my follow list to see the post that my boss had posted before. The popularity of that post with just a few words has skyrocketed at this time, and it has even been listed on the hot search list, and it has been rising rapidly. 2. Exaggerated. I was so shocked that I couldn't speak. Ning Qingyu laughed happily while holding her phone. That poster is really a fake. The real poster was so scared that he deleted his account and ran away. He is so cowardly that I am dying of laughter. Now public opinion has turned to our side. Qingqing, who dares to call you a mistress now? Even the one Ling Shu you forwarded is no longer valid. But Ning Qingyu suddenly came closer to me with a smile, pointed at the phone screen and said mischievously, "It seems that President Pei only follows you. No one is paying attention, just you." I blushed. What's that? I'm his assistant. Okay, it's just because you are his assistant. Ning Qingyu said perfunctorily. I lowered my eyes to my phone and scrolled through my watch list. So the only acquaintance I follow besides the official account is my boss? It's really nothing. I thought about it, and realized that I was cleared this time thanks to the help of my boss. If it weren't for him, the poster would not have deleted his account, and he would have been mistaken for a mistress forever, and the rumor would have become more and more outrageous. Although the boss was trying to clear his own reputation, but to be honest, I am the biggest beneficiary of his post, so I should thank him no matter what. Thinking about it, I tapped the keyboard a few times. Thank you, boss. Then I attached a screenshot of a private message of apology from a netizen who saw my boss's post and realized that he had misunderstood me. Not long after I sent it, a new message came in. Boss, where are you? Boss, you're not sincere. If you want to thank someone, come and thank them in person. I just realized that I had been away from the company for a while, so I quickly said hello to Sister Ning and prepared to go back in a hurry. As a result, as soon as I came out of Sister Ning's company, I saw the boss. I was startled and took 2 steps back in fear. Pei Qian frowned in dissatisfaction. What? Am I scary? No, boss, why are you here? I said, covering my heart. Come to pick you up. Pei Qian finished speaking, and couldn't help but add, there are still many documents to be processed. I understand that you have to run around because of public opinion recently, but work should be the focus of life. Wow, he is indeed a black-hearted capitalist. I nodded habitually and responded, yes, boss, you are right. After getting in the car, Pei Qian coughed. I thought he was going to say something, so I turned to look at him. Then Pei Qian coughed again, and his ears turned suspiciously red. I was confused for a while, and suddenly I remembered. The boss just told me to thank him in person. Oh. I'm in a dilemma. It turns out that the people who have everything they need are more stingy and even fussy about a thank you. I remembered the tutorials on the internet, which said that to flatter your boss, you can start by pointing out his brilliant moves and then praise his decisions. Good. Theory ends and practice begins. I clicked on his post on Weibo and thought about what I could praise. I originally thought that there wouldn't be many good reviews in it, but in fact the boss's comment section was quite different from what I imagined. Although Pei Qian's face was not clearly revealed in the photo in the previous rumor post, his vaguely revealed profile and his broad shoulders and narrow waist had already attracted a lot of people who were obsessed with appearance. Boss Pei is so handsome. Speaking of which, this scandal has no effect on him, right? This is the first time I've seen the fate of the main character in such news. He's so straightforward, and you can tell he's a real man. I thought you were a playboy, but I didn't expect you to be single. Mr. Pei, I'm your long-lost wife. The internet was filled with crazy comments. The boss's newly created account only posted a few words of clarification, but in such a short time it gained over 100,000 followers. If it were in the entertainment industry, people would be envious and jealous to death. I silently looked up at my boss, the guy who was obsessed with the whole internet, who is now my temporary driver. Why does it feel a bit good when you think about it? It seems that being scolded is not so unfair. What are you doing? The boss was driving and glanced at me. Oh, I remembered something important and flattered him. Boss, I think it's a wise move for you to post this. What do you mean? The boss is interested. I continued, not only did it clarify our relationship and save your face, but it also gained you a wave of fans. Why do I need so many fangirls? Pei Qian's face fell. Oh, this shows that you are very charming, boss. I picked out a few comments and read them to him. You said you were single, but many fans called you hubby. Who knew that the boss suddenly slammed on the brakes and stopped the car on the side of the road? I almost couldn't control myself and fell down. Boss. I looked at him blankly. Pei Chen looked at me with a sullen face, as if he wanted to say something but stopped talking. Then he turned around and silently stepped on the accelerator. After a while, he lowered his voice and said viciously, "I will delete that post later." But the boss said he would delete the post, but he still didn't delete it after several days. Thanks to that post, and Sister Ning's help with public relations, I was finally able to clear the stigma that the post brought me. The star had secretly deleted the forwarded post a long time ago, but she could not escape the sharp eyes of netizens. The infamy of being the leader in spreading rumors and all the previous scandals made her completely quiet for a while, and she has been out of business for several days. However, some of her fans still regard me as an enemy and keep hyping up the negative information left by the previous poster. Although the real owner denied it, there is no guarantee that she is not a mistress. Otherwise, how could she have accepted the filming without Sister Ling? Isn't she a fool? She can only rely on this face to make a living. Isn't it the same in the company? That's right. I heard that she just graduated from college not long ago. She became the CEO's assistant so quickly. There must be something fishy going on. Chapter 21 Apology. I can really smell the sourness through the screen. Just because these people can't do it doesn't mean you can't. You were the undefeated legend of our business school. It was no joke that you were ranked first in your major every year. Ning Qingyu looked at me and said, "Qingqing, can you please stop reading that report?" I looked up, my eyes still on the tablet. Huh? What's wrong? Can you please take care of yourself? You don't know how harshly these people are scolding you. I feel bad for you just by listening to them. It's not working hours now, why don't you quit and come to my place? I'm definitely not like your black-hearted boss who makes you work overtime every day. Ning Qingyu said. No, Sister Ning, you misunderstood. I sighed, it's not my boss who asked me to work overtime. I just wanted to read this document myself. What did the company HR say at the beginning? The secretarial office can be exposed to 80% of the company's business, which is very suitable for switching to project positions later. But after joining the company, I realized that this 80% refers to the breadth of coverage, but the depth is only 1% at most. Although I am the boss's assistant now, I can actually get in touch with important business more quickly than doing ordinary secretarial work. If I want to switch to a project position, I will have to spend more time understanding and following up than in ordinary work. Yes, although I am a secretary, I have a dream of becoming a project leader. I will basically take a closer look at the tasks assigned to me by my boss, and he has also taught me a lot. If there is a project that interests me, I will basically try to follow up to see if I can get involved. Well, you really are, you were so busy with your studies at school, and now you're working, right? Ning Qingyu said helplessly, any company that hires you is lucky. I don't understand why those people on the internet still doubt the legitimacy of your position. With your work attitude, you are truly a benchmark in the industry, eh? Ning Qingyu seemed to have suddenly found something interesting and perked up. Qingqing, there's a girl who claims to be your colleague. She posted something. Do you want to take a look? Colleague. I recalled the unfriendly attitude of my colleagues in the secretarial office a few days ago, and I guess I posted this at this time just to complain and vent my anger. I shook my head. No, why would I bring bad luck to myself? What bad luck? Do you have a bad relationship with your colleagues? Ning Qingyu asked in confusion. I saw her post and thought you had a good relationship with your colleagues in the company. I blinked, huh? That's not my colleague, right? Nowadays, there are many people who like to pretend to be someone else on the internet. It's clear that Chen Ryu was so angry with me that she couldn't sleep a few days ago. I am Su Qingqing's colleague. She is very dedicated to the company and does an excellent job. She is definitely not the straw bag you say she is. I can testify to that. Ning Qingyu read the post and raised her head to hold the phone in front of me. Look. And there are several comments under this post that agree with it. They all say they are your colleagues and can testify for you. I took the phone and took a look at it blankly. It's true. At this time, my mobile phone screen lit up and messages popped up one after another. Chen Ryu, Qingqing, I'm sorry. I misunderstood you. Chen Ryu, picture. Chen Ryu, these people were too much. I couldn't help it. This picture is the post that Sister Ning showed me. It turned out to be posted by Chen Ru, and the person who testified for me was actually my colleague. I replied, "It's okay. I wasn't angry anyway. Thank you for speaking up for me, though." Not only Chen Ru, but other colleagues also sent me messages to apologize, saying that they should not have believed the rumors on the internet and that they were very sorry. I feel amazing. Why are you all apologizing to me? I opened the Secretariat's chat group and saw that it had indeed been discussed in advance. Link. Oh my god, Su Qingqing is innocent. She and the boss are innocent. What? Plus 10,086. Look, the boss said she has been single since birth. Help, it seems like she really misunderstood her. Will she hold a grudge against us for what we did to her that day? Although Su Qingqing didn't seem to care. Why don't you just apologize? She's the boss assistant now. In fact, Su Qingqing is also quite miserable. She was scolded by their whole network without doing anything. If it were me, I would have collapsed and resigned long ago. Yes. I exited the interface and replied to each colleague. There's really no need to apologize. Because I wasn't angry at all. It is normal to have misunderstandings when seeing the news, and if my work is affected by my colleague's attitude, I will not be able to catch up with the project progress. Now no one will say that you are idiot who got promoted by unspoken rules, right? Your colleagues have all stood up to speak for you. Ning Qingyu put her hands behind her head and said with a smile, "My company's public relations can stop worrying about it." As a result, in the afternoon, even more outrageous remarks appeared. Sister Ning sent me a screenshot. I don't believe that Su Qingqing is so popular. If she is really as good as her so-called colleagues say, why didn't you stand up and speak for her when she was scolded before? At one, I'm afraid you were forced to do that. How disgusting. They are actually engaging in workplace bullying. I remember that the minimum requirement of the QS group is to be from a top 2 university, right? If you are really capable, why not just show your academic qualifications? I looked through the list of graduates from top-ranked colleges this year, but I didn't see Su Qingqing. I'm afraid she graduated from a fake university, and all her money went into the Pacific Ocean. Can people like this get out of the workplace? Can you please fire them right away? Sister Ning, Qingqing, did you see that? These people are so excessive that they can even bring up workplace bullying. Sister Ning, I'm contacting the operations department to issue a statement. It was clearly Ling Shuyu who acted like a big shot and delayed our project. You helped us, but now it's been twisted into you stealing her photo shoot. How can this be justified? I have a way to shut them up. I turned on my computer and slowly found photos of various trophies and certificates from my school days. Sister Ning, what's the solution? Isn't it enough to prove to them that I do have this ability? You can insult me, but you can't denigrate my professionalism. This is my job. What if it affects my future promotion? After I uploaded all the photos, I clicked send. Less than 2 minutes after I sent the message, Sister Ning called me. Har ha 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 ha. I suspected that the person on the other end was about to choke from laughing before Ning Qingyu calmed down and gave me a thumbs up over the phone. It's hardcore enough, I like it. I have already contacted the operation department. Since they are so aggressive, there is no need for us to give them face. The statement has been written. I don't think anyone dares to say that you are being unfair by refusing to do so. Chapter 22 Payroll. After saying that, Sister Ning hung up the phone and went to do her work in a hurry. I sent her a message, Sister Ning, thank you. I'm sorry to have kept you busy with my affairs. In fact, I am still very lucky. Although I was attacked for no reason, there are people standing with me, and my boss did not fire me because of public opinion. The other party quickly replied, what are you thanking me for? I am partly responsible for your being hacked this time. This is what I should do. I curled the corners of my mouth. Then I suddenly thought of my boss. I tried to thank him in the same way a few days ago, but I failed to do so. Instead, it backfired and made him unhappy. Although I don't know why, this is not what I want, so I should thank you properly. Otherwise I would feel bad. Qingqing, are you free tonight? When I was in a daze, someone suddenly patted my shoulder. Turning around, it was Chen Ru. It was time to get off work, and many people were leaving the company happily, arm in arm. Behind Chen Ryu were two colleagues who looked over here while pretending to chat. It's the beginning of the month and we get paid today. We plan to go out for a meal and relax. Chen Ryu explained shyly, do you want to come with us? A thought flashed through my mind, have you received your salary? Yes, it is sent at the beginning of every month without fail. Did you receive it? Oh, I almost forgot. I went to check immediately, feeling a little nervous. I accidentally made my boss unhappy a few days ago. I thought, I hope this black-hearted boss won't deduct my salary. When the number jumped in front of me, I almost suspected that I had seen it wrong. It was actually a lot more than what was agreed upon. How could the performance and bonus be so much? So, Chen Ryu scratched her nose sheepishly, are you going? There's a new Sichuan restaurant that just opened, and we're planning on checking it out. Yes, Chen Ryu's colleague came over. Sichuan cuisine goes really well with wine. Sichuan cuisine. I have a bad stomach and can't eat spicy food, so I was a little hesitant. Forget it, isn't it obvious that she doesn't want to go? A colleague pulled Chen Ryu back and said, maybe she is still blaming us for misunderstanding her. Another colleague held my hand and said, sorry, we're treating you today. Let's go together. You've already received your salary, so take a good rest instead of working so hard all the time. I pursed my lips, too embarrassed to refuse, okay. Let's go. My colleague pulled me up from my workstation with a smile. Wait, I talk to the boss. Before I could say anything, the back of my collar was suddenly pulled back. I tilted my head slightly and saw the boss's stern profile. Why are you leaving? Su Qingqing, where is the monthly report I want? When the colleague saw their boss, he hurriedly greeted him in panic. Hello, Mr. Pei. Oh, the monthly report. I took out a document from the table and handed it to him. Boss, this is the document you asked for. Pei Qian took the report, glanced at it, and returned it to me. He said indifferently, I don't have time, you can tell me orally later. Oh. I glanced at Chen Ryu. Chen Ryu and her colleagues gave her a look that said, take care of yourself. Then Qingqing, since you have something to do, we will leave first. Yes, let's do it together next time. Several colleagues waved at me and disappeared. Why? If you want to go, take me with you? I stayed where I was, smiling awkwardly but politely at the boss. You can't eat spicy food, so why don't you refuse? Pei Qian suddenly asked. I looked up, in great amazement, how did you know? You've been eating and drinking at my house for so long, and you've never tried anything spicy. How do you know this? Pei Qian said sullenly, do you think I'm blind? No. I denied, I just didn't expect that you, boss, would even notice this. Pei Qian turned his head away and said, it's just a small matter, just a coincidence. He pulled me out of the company and said, we have to discuss business tomorrow. You can't go out tonight. What if you accidentally drink some alcohol or get sick for some reason? So that's why. The boss has been busy with bidding these days. I also understand that the business to be discussed tomorrow should be a very important one. For a moment, I didn't know whether I should thank the boss or say thank you to the boss. Boss, don't worry. Even if I'm sick, I will complete the task you assigned to me. Come on, I'm not so cruel as to enslave sick employees. Sitting in the car, Pei Qian curled his lips and said, have you read all the information I gave you? I've read them all. I said, taking out a folder from my bag. I've sorted them out. Please take a look, boss. How can I get through while driving? Pei Qian rolled his eyes at me and said, read it to me. I said, oh, and opened it to report to him. As he was reciting, the boss suddenly stopped the car. I stood up in confusion, and the neon light outside shone into the car. Boss, that's not right. Aren't we going home? This is a mall. I know. Pei Qian said coldly. No way. My face changed drastically. Is there another cocktail party? When? Boss, I haven't prepared any information yet. No, that's right. Pei Qian's face was tense, and he spoke word by word. You've been paid, take a good rest, don't just keep working. It took me a long time to realize that he was repeating what his colleague at the company had just said. You can't eat spicy food or drink alcohol. You can do whatever you want. Pei Qian coughed. Cosmetics, bags, clothes, shoes, flowers, anything is fine. Boss, are you kidding me? I touched my pocket and asked cautiously, your understanding of relaxation is shopping. I have been to this shopping mall. It is full of various top brands. To exaggerate a little, the cost of food alone starts at 5 figures. Although I just got my salary, I can't stand such a spending spree. Isn't it? Pei Qian glanced at me. I bowed to their boss and said, Boss, go and relax. I'm going back first. As soon as I turned around, Pei Qian grabbed my hand with a dark face and said through gritted teeth, it's not you who is paying for it. That won't work either. Boss, it would be more practical for you to give me bonus instead of spending money on me. I said. Who said I spent money on you? Pei Qian's face flushed with an imperceptible dark red, and he said viciously, I bought it for my mother. If the bid is successful, I will probably need to travel to country M. Pei Qian said, my mother is still abroad. Can't I bring her some local specialties? I nodded quickly, okay. My mom is more fashionable and likes little girls' things, about your age. Pei Qian said in a cold and stiff tone, I don't know what she likes. Just pick something you like. It's better than what I pick. Chapter 23 Thank You Gift. So after all this time, you want me to help you pick a gift? Okay, boss, next time just tell me directly. No need to beat around the bush. I can't understand what you're saying and it's easy for me to misunderstand. I chuckled. Pei Qian turned his eyes away and remained silent. He took me to the first floor first and told me, pack up everything you like. I don't know what my mother will like, but as long as there are enough things, there will always be something she likes. You're using the mass guessing strategy, right? As long as you guess enough times, you'll eventually get it right. I felt the power of money. Is this how you spend money? I didn't dare to pick randomly. After walking around the entire first floor, I only picked out a few items. However, I felt that each one was suitable for the boss to take back as a gift. Pei Qian was a little embarrassed. You are quite good at choosing. My mother will definitely be very happy. Of course, the hand-carved white hibiscus stone seals, the crystal-framed paper cuts of the 12 zodiac animals, anyway, these are things that overseas Chinese who have lived abroad for a long time will like very much. After visiting the first floor, Pei Qian impatiently dragged me to the second floor. Don't look at these, look at something else. My eyes were suddenly attracted by a clothing store. Pei Qian looked in the direction I was looking. Why? Did you see something you liked? I nodded. But I don't think my aunt would like it. Can I go and take a look? Pei Qian raised his eyebrows. Of course, let's go. Then he wanted to take me to buy it. I paused, my face a little red. I can go there by myself. It will be quick. Boss, please wait for me here. I stuffed the things into the boss's hand and went straight to the clothing store. Pei Qian stood there holding something in his hand. His thin lips were pursed impatiently, without any curve visible. Hello, can you take that tie off and show it to me? There was a dark blue tie on the counter of this clothing store that caught my eye at first sight. I just think this is perfect for the boss. It just so happened that I hadn't found a thank you gift yet, so I suddenly had an idea and decided to buy it as a thank you gift. The waiter took out the tie and said, Miss, you have a very good taste. This tie is a new style in our store. Each one is unique. The more I looked at it, the better it seemed. Cut the crap out of me. How much is it? 18,008. Although I knew the prices here, my heart still ached. This is almost half a month's salary for me. I gritted my teeth and said, please wrap it up for me, thank you. I've been borrowing the boss's food and lodging for such a long time, so I should give him some gift in return. It's only right, it's only right. I walked back holding the box, muttering to myself. Luckily my boss gave me a raise, otherwise I wouldn't buy it no matter how expensive it was. What did you buy? Why didn't you let me go with you? Pei Qian glanced at the thing in my hand and questioned me in a sullen tone, don't you want to be with me? I put the box on my back, planning to give it to him when I got back to the car. No, it's nothing, let's go. I poked Pei Qian's arm. Pei Qian's face grew even darker. Why are you walking? I'm not in the mood anymore. He turned and left. Go back, it's boring. Oh. I hurried to catch up with him. Boss, I think it's enough to bring these gifts to my aunt. Pei Qian glanced at me and stuffed me into the passenger seat. You are such a fool. What's wrong with me? My boss always gets angry for inexplicable reasons. I'm used to it and don't take it too seriously. When we got in the car, Pei Qian was about to step on the accelerator, but I hurriedly stopped him. Wait a minute. What? I handed him the box and said, it wasn't suitable just now. This is for you. Pei Qian was stunned, with a hint of surprise flashing in his eyes. So this was given to me. Well, boss, didn't you say you wanted to thank me properly? I suddenly felt a little nervous, and said uneasily, this is a thank you gift, see if you like it. If you flatter someone too much, you may end up flattering him. I can't guarantee that my boss will like this tie that I think is suitable. Pei Qian opened the box and fell silent, fiddling with the tie with his slender fingers. I saw his beautiful dark eyes flashing with light, and I couldn't tell whether he liked it or not. Boss. I couldn't help but ask. I don't like it. Pei Qian looked away and put the tie back into the box. I sighed regretfully, then give it back to me. We are not far away yet, and we can change it to a different style. I said as I went to get the box, I should have asked you in advance, what kind do you like, boss? As a result, Pei Qian was quicker and took the box away, putting it to the other side where I couldn't reach it. How can I take back something I gave away? Pei Qian snorted, and the corners of his lips couldn't help but rise. I don't really dislike it, so let it be. What? So do you like it or not? Man, no, the boss's mind is really hard to guess. The bidding was at 9 o'clock and was very important, but my boss and I were not too worried. On the one hand, the planning scheme was already very detailed, and on the other hand, this competition was to bid for the right to develop new technology from the YK Foundation, and the developer of this technology was a professor at an Ivy League university in Country M. The boss's family has businesses all over the world, and is the most confident among all the bidders. If you want to get it, it's not difficult. I think so too, and other companies obviously know this too, and coming here today will only serve as a runner-up. Some people accept their fate and want to take this opportunity to make more partners. When they see their boss, they congratulate him in advance. As usual, I reminded my boss in his ear about the background of the visitor's company. But there are also those who refuse to accept their fate and regard their boss as a powerful opponent, speaking to them with a hint of hostility. Boss Pei, don't be too proud. The YK Foundation hasn't made a final bid yet. It's still uncertain who will get the development rights in the end. The person who spoke was a man in his 20s, wearing a black suit. His last name was Chen. He is only a few years older than the boss and is still young and energetic. The company he works for is on par with the bosses in China and they have always been competitors. Xiao Chen, don't talk nonsense. I came here today just to make peace with President Pei. A smiling man wearing glasses patted Mr. Chen on the shoulder. I saw that he couldn't help blinking and thought to myself, oh no. I don't know this person. It didn't appear in the list of bidding companies. But the boss seemed to know him. I tugged at the corner of my boss's clothes and asked him a question. Pei Qian turned his head and gave me a calm look. I felt a little more at ease and stood next to my boss with my shoulders straight, holding the documents. If I'm not mistaken, the person next to Mr. Pei is their secretary Su, who has been making a lot of noise online recently, right? The man suddenly cued me, his tone full of meaning, as expected of a handsome Mr. Pei. Even his secretary is so pretty. I remember Secretary Su is a graduate from a university in Country M, right? How about coming to my company? I can make you the secretary supervisor. Chapter 24 Assistant's Duties. This guy spoke with an inexplicable tone of contempt and ridicule, and I subconsciously frowned. After all, I have a criminal record. In Pei Qian's eyes, this look seemed like he was seriously considering it. He pursed his lips and stared at me, as if he would strangle me to death if I dared to let him pry open the wall in public. I didn't notice it at all and was still wondering if this guy was a friend of the boss. If he is the boss's friend, should I give him some face? Oh. I spoke hesitantly, unaware that the people around me had focused their attention on me. No, sir, I chose my words carefully. I'm not interested in the secretary manager. The man with glasses suddenly looked ugly. Who would believe that a secretary is not interested in the secretary supervisor? It's clear that he is not interested in his company and doesn't want to go there even if he gets a promotion. Did she know that in a large company, a promotion is equivalent to crossing a class? And the fact is, I'm really not interested in the secretary manager position. If he asked me to follow up the project and be the person in charge, I would still consider it. Moreover, although they both work as secretaries, he may not be paid as much as his boss. Anyway, I have determined that there is a future in making money following my boss, and I will never change jobs easily. I rejected him, took a step towards the boss, and took the opportunity to show my loyalty. Boss, the company has good benefits and treatment, and it is stable. I have no plans to change jobs. The corners of Pei Qian's lips suddenly curled up. The man with the glasses felt as if he had been slapped in public, and his face was burning with pain. He never thought that someone would refuse such generous conditions he offered. Not only was he rejected, but Pei Qian actually let her slap him in the face. Xiao Chen, it seems that President Pei has no intention of reconciliation for the time being. The man with the glasses gave me a cold look and said, "Let's go." He probably knew that he had no chance of winning this bid and did not intend to continue to humiliate himself here, so he pulled Mr. Chen out of the bidding. Even the only company that could be called a competitor had withdrawn, so there was no suspense about the bidding. The manager of the YK Foundation in charge of the bidding happily made the final decision. "Congratulations, President Pei." The boss responded calmly, with a kind of nonchalant and pretentious beauty. As soon as we left the bidding venue, his face changed and he hurriedly pulled me back to the car. "How does he know which university you graduated from? Why, have you sent him your resume?" Pei Qian grabbed Zhang Jun's face and said jealously. "How is that possible?" I raised my hands and said, "Boss, I swear, I have no intention of changing jobs. I don't even know who that person was just now." Pei Qian slandered the man seriously. "Don't listen to his nice words. He likes to make employees work overtime. If they don't work overtime, his salary will be deducted." "What?" I hugged my shoulders and said in disbelief, "What a vicious capitalist." Fortunately, I didn't agree. "Don't try to fool them. How can they know where you went to college if you haven't submitted your resume?" "I don't believe it." "Well, I'm actually a little confused about this. Could it be that I really submitted my resume?" "Oh, no, I suddenly remembered that I used my own account to send my award certificates and trophies yesterday. They were basically labeled in English, so it was easy to tell where my university was." I explained to their boss hesitantly. "They suspect that I injected water. How can I tolerate this? This is also related to your reputation, isn't it?" "Why do you care about them?" the boss said disdainfully. Even so, his expression became even colder. "It's probably because the PR department hasn't sent enough lawyers' letters, so they can't stop. The boss usually drives himself, but today was special, so he called the driver and now he sits in the back seat with me." When we talked about this, my boss and I opened Weibo. I originally wanted to prove to him that what I said was indeed correct, but I was surprised to find that the number of followers of my Weibo account was actually increasing. The post with only proof photos is quite popular. "This is really Secretary Su. Come on, move the bench and sit down." So Secretary Su has such a good academic background. She's an international student from Country M, and she's won so many awards. I've even seen some of these awards in the news. They are really valuable. She is pretty and well educated. She has never lost her temper despite being scolded for so long. She is an emotionally stable lady. I am a fan of her. The girl is so beautiful. Please send me more photos. I'm from Boss Pei. Isn't this Boss Pei's assistant? I'm begging you to send me a photo of your husband. What are you fans of? Am I the only one who knows that this person got to the top through unspoken rules? He stole Sister Ling's photo shoot and is also a mistress. The above person has 2G network, right? It has been clarified long ago, and the brand has issued a statement. It is obvious that Ling Shuyu was the one who cancelled the filming and led his fans to cyberbully ordinary people. Now his reputation has completely collapsed. It will be a matter of time before he is forgotten. +1, I misunderstood the young lady. I feel sorry for the young lady. She has suffered so many attacks for no reason. Pei Qian looked through the photos I posted one by one with a proud look on his face. He suddenly zoomed in on a photo and pointed at the string of English words on it. "Are you from this university?" I nodded. "Yeah. That's right. Didn't I say that if the bid is successful, I would need to go on a business trip to Country M?" Pei Qian said, "The developer of that new technology is a professor at your alma mater." I opened my mouth. Is it such a coincidence? Yes, if it's such a coincidence. Pei Chen said with a squint, I have asked my subordinates to arrange a team, but the team leader has not been decided yet. You can be the team leader, right? I nodded subconsciously, then immediately realized, no, ho. Boss, do you mean that I should go on a business trip to Country M with you? Pei Chen's expression turned slightly cold. What? Is there something else important? That's not the case. What are the duties of an assistant? Assist the boss with his work. I was completely confused by his question. Is there any connection between the two? That's it. The assistant will be wherever the boss is. No leave is allowed unless it's urgent. Pei Chen said. Okay, I am defeated by my boss logic. Just treat it as a paid visit to my alma mater, even though there's nothing particularly memorable there. It was said that the assistant would be wherever the boss was, but in fact the boss booked a flight and flew back several days in advance, leaving me as the team leader. The composition of this group is quite complex. There are people I know and people I don't know. In addition to the secretariat, there are also many colleagues in technical positions. This is the good thing about big companies. The boss is very generous and chartered a special plane for us. But when we got on the plane, there was suddenly one person missing. Where's Yan Qin? Why didn't she come today? Chapter 25. Maybe I made a mistake. Yan Qin is sick and can't come. A colleague who knows her said, the supervisor said a new person has been arranged to replace her. She should be here soon. Let's wait a little longer. I had no choice but to wait patiently for a while. After waiting for 15 minutes, I had no choice but to call the nun to ask for help, and then someone finally showed up. It turned out to be Xu Shi. The visitor showed no remorse at all. Without even taking a breath, he threw the bag to a colleague and asked her to hold it for him. When his eyes passed over me, Xu Shi's eyes flashed, and surprisingly, he didn't find fault with me. Instead, he turned around and yelled at other colleagues. So the person that the nun arranged to replace was Xu Shi? Time is running out, and I don't have the energy to delve into it. I had to quickly ask my colleagues to get on the computer, and then quietly sat in the corner holding my team leader's small flag. The position of team leader is not suitable for me at all. It took a total of 12 hours to fly from Haicheng to Country M Airport. Everyone was very tired when we got off the plane. We returned to the hotel where we were hosted to adjust to the jet lag and rest. After a good rest, everyone felt refreshed when they gathered in front of the university campus the next day. For many colleagues, this is their first time here. The local customs and habits are very different from those in Haicheng, so they are inevitably very novel and excited. The boss reminded me that he would go find some acquaintances to reminisce about the past, and when he is not around, the group will move around the campus on their own. Those who want to walk around the campus can walk around, and those who want to take pictures can take pictures. Oh yeah! Isn't this a publicly funded vacation? Several colleagues cheered. I silently took out my tablet and looked at the information about this project. I've been here for a few years, and there's really nothing new here. I'd better use this time to think about the project plan. Is there anything good to eat around here? My colleagues looked at each other and then turned their eyes to me. I remember Qingqing seemed to have graduated from this school. Yes, it's because of this boss that he let her lead the team. Then please tell us where to go for fun so we can take advantage of the business trip to go sightseeing before work starts. I looked up and thought for a moment. Why don't we go to Charles first? Before I could finish, a sharp voice interrupted me. That country bumpkin doesn't understand any of this. Xu Shi took the small flag from my hand and said, I graduated here too. Let me take you guys out to play. Oh, yes. Xu Shi also said this before. She and Qingqing were college classmates. Someone saw Xu Shi's little move and couldn't help but remind him, but Xu Shi, it's not good for you to directly snatch the leader's flag like this, right? Xu Shi's thoughts were exposed, his face changed, he threw the small flag on the ground, stiffened his neck and said, I just took it to have a look. But you found the right person. I was a well-known figure in school. Xu Shi raised his nose and talked about a lot of his deeds in school. I was the captain of the school cheerleading team. So amazing. Colleagues were amazed, and one asked, then Xu Shi, since you are the captain of the cheerleading team, you should be very famous in school, right? Of course. Xu Shi said, his eyes wandering. By the way, didn't you say you wanted to eat something delicious? Yes. Colleagues' eyes lit up. Shushi, you are so familiar with the school, you must know a lot of food worth eating, right? Tell me now, tell me now. Shushi thought for a moment. The most classic food in a school must be the cafeteria. Come on, I'll take you to the cafeteria. The cafeteria. Some colleagues frowned in disappointment. Aren't the food in the cafeteria the same across the country? I'm afraid even in Country M, there won't be any special food in the university cafeteria, right? Most of the colleagues selected in the group have high academic qualifications and good family backgrounds. Some are international students studying in universities in other countries. None of them are very interested in the cafeteria. Shushi curled his lips in contempt. What do you know? It's me who went to school here, not you. Just follow me. The colleagues looked at each other and said, well, it would be nice to go to the cafeteria. I was concentrating on the plan when my colleague patted me on the shoulder and said, Ching Ching, let's go. I packed up and stood up. Have you decided where to go? Shushi said to go to the cafeteria. The foreign student colleague held his forehead and said, anyway, eating anything will fill your stomach, let's go. Except for some international student colleagues who were not interested in the cafeteria, most of the colleagues were still very interested and surrounded Shushi to ask questions. Shushi really enjoyed the feeling of being the center of attention. Yes, just go in and swipe your credit card. When I entered the cafeteria, I picked up some chicken breast and vegetables and brought it to the corner. I ate while leaning on the tablet. Shushi continued to talk. I was a little famous at the beginning, and many people pursued me, such as A. But I refused. The more supportive colleagues exclaimed. Well, wait a minute. A brown-haired female student with a high ponytail suddenly came over and said in English, are you the famous one back then? The colleague looked at Shushi, and a look of surprise flashed in Shushi's eyes. You know me? Before Shushi finished her words, the female student passed her like a gust of wind and ran straight to my desk. Are you the famous piano goddess back then? Oh my god, senior sister, I have always admired you. I raised my head and slowly wiped the salad from the corner of my mouth with paper. Do you know me? I know her. She had a piano performance video back then, and the art department teacher often showed it to us. I didn't expect to see her in person. The female student looked so excited that she was about to jump up. Can we take a photo together? I nodded a little hesitantly. The female student happily took a photo with me and immediately sent a voice message to her friend. Guess who I saw? I'm so lucky today. All my colleagues were not expecting this and they all looked at me. Shushi was sitting in the middle feeling left out and looked very unhappy. A female colleague noticed Shushi's strange expression and didn't want to embarrass Shushi, so she greeted the female student. Hi, do you know Shushi? The female student was stunned. Who? I don't know him. Oh, it's Shushi who used to be on your school's cheerleading team. She should be pretty famous in your school, right? Ever been on the cheerleading team? Impossible, I'm on the cheerleading team. I've never heard of this name. The female student didn't say anything too arbitrary. Maybe her English name isn't this, but I've seen photos of the cheerleading teams of all time. Who is she you're talking about? The female colleague pointed at Shushi, who looked pale. I'm sorry, the female student said helplessly, I don't have any impression of her. Asian faces are easy to recognize. I can guarantee that she is not in the photo. Maybe you are mistaken. Chapter 26 Recognized. My colleague sighed. How could it be wrong? Yeah, Shushi made a very clear statement. She even said she was the captain of the cheerleading team. She couldn't have lied to us, could she? The female colleague tried to smooth things over awkwardly. After all, we've already graduated. It's normal that we can't remember. Shushi stammered, yes. Impossible. The female student frowned slightly. I shouldn't remember it wrong. As she spoke, she lowered her head and made a phone call. The call was quickly connected, and a breathless shout came from the other end. I'm on my way over here. Is the goddess still there? I want to take a photo too. The brown-haired female student looked back at me and said, still here. When are you coming over? A female, senior's friend asked me if I knew Shushi. She said she was from the cheerleading team. Do you have any impression of her? What? Shushi. I seem to have some impression of him. Let me tell you when I get over there. After saying that, the caller hung up in a hurry. The colleagues looked at each other and saw confusion in each other's eyes. What the hell, he knew Su Qingqing, a nobody with a very low sense of existence, but he didn't he remember Xu Shi. Xu Shi stood up with a grim face and pushed the female student out. You're not from the cheerleading team, right? Otherwise, how could you not recognize me? She turned to her colleagues and said, Is everyone finished eating? Let's go to the next place. Okay. The colleagues put down their cutlery. There were too many people in the cafeteria, so I closed the tablet and was willing to move to another place. So he stood up too. Is it Senior Sister Su? At this time, a few more people came up and pointed at me and asked. I blinked. I didn't expect that after so long since graduation, there were still people in school who remembered me. Right, that senior who plays the piano. Our president's White Moonlight. She's also our club president. The president always shows off to us. How come the seniors graduated when I joined the club? Our club is also. Senior, please give me an autograph. I want to take it back and show it off. The place around me was getting more and more lively. My colleagues were stunned and pulled a student to ask, Is Su Qingqing very famous in your school? Yes. The student said, I didn't expect to see her here today. Are you her friends? The colleague nodded. I really envy you guys. Senior Sister Su was one of the most famous people in school back then. He said with some reminiscence, she played the piano very well. She played a piece of music at the school anniversary party and it became famous for a long time. In order to recruit new members, the club extended an olive branch to Senior Sister Su. She had seats in several clubs. Unfortunately, she graduated not long after I joined. Seeing his colleague's surprised expression, he said in amazement, Don't you know? That song is still being reposted on Twitter and YouTube. His colleague asked him and he opened Twitter and searched it doubtfully. Unexpectedly, the first post that popped up was about Su Qingqing. The video shows a large auditorium with thousands of people. There is a piano in the center of the auditorium, and sitting right in front of the piano is their colleague, Su Qingqing. Unlike Su Qingqing, who usually wears a simple white t-shirt and jeans and has a very low presence, the one in the video is wearing a plain little dress and looks very graceful and quiet. Her long hair was tied loosely into a bun, and pinned with a simple and unique wooden hairpin. Under the bright light, she looked like a fairy who had strayed into the mortal world. Wow, the colleague couldn't help but exclaimed, a little agitated, such a beautiful fairy is actually my colleague. What? Other colleagues came over and took a look, wow. But the next second, as the first note appeared, the colleagues fell silent again. A smooth and light melody flows from her fingertips. The girl in the video looks very relaxed, and her jade-like jumping fingertips are pleasing to the eye. Listening to the music and just looking at her, one feels as if one is in a secluded residence among bamboos and phoenixes under the drizzle of rain. The music is ethereal, and there is a strange sense of dreaminess. After she finished playing the last tune, the whole room was silent. Su Qingqing, under the bright yellow light, happened to look at the person filming, as if she was accidentally looking at someone outside the video. It makes people's hearts skip a beat. Shock. Colleagues who watched this video for the first time could only use this adjective to express their feelings. I'm still not satisfied. What are you doing stopping here? A sharp voice brought them back to their senses. Xu Shi, who was standing behind them, shouted unhappily, Didn't you say you were going to the next place? Why aren't any of you moving? Xu Shi. A female colleague couldn't help but frown, You're not the team leader, why do you always order us around? Xu Shi choked, I know this place well, I'm just showing you the way. Sorry for the delay. I finally dealt with my junior classmates and hurried over, let's go. A colleague came up to me and said admiringly, Qingqing, you are so amazing. You play the piano so well. It really opens my eyes. Yeah. I scratched my head and chuckled, I learned it when I was a kid. That piano playing video of yours went viral on Twitter. If you ask me, you'd be better off being a pianist than being a corporate slave. TSK, a sarcastic sneer was heard. What's the point of being good at playing the piano? Xu Shi said sarcastically, It's not serious, it's unorthodox. At this time, the brown-haired female student couldn't help but ask, What do you mean? The brown-haired female student was very upset when she was pushed away by Xu Shi just now, but she endured it because she was Senior Sister Su's colleague. Now that she was openly mocking Senior Sister Su like this, she couldn't bear it anymore. I am coming. When the two of them were in a stalemate of silence, a person in a cheerleading uniform suddenly rushed over. She is tall and has a good figure, with even wheat-colored skin. She is a beautiful girl who is very eye-catching at first sight. She saw me at a glance and rushed towards me with shining eyes. I've seen passionate people, but I've never seen someone so passionate and fierce. My CPU burned out. Goddess. No, senior Sister Sue, take a photo with me. She hugged me and I had no choice but to agree and then struggled out of her overly enthusiastic embrace. Wendy, do you remember this guy? We had this guy on our cheerleading team. Wendy was stunned and looked at Shushi, confusion flashed across her eyes. Shushi's face darkened. What do I need you to remember to do? Then he pulled his colleague and said, let's go, it's too noisy here. Many colleagues looked at me and I nodded. There were indeed too many people here. Why don't we go to Lake Charles? There's a good view there and not many people. It's just right for us to take a walk after dinner. I suggested. Okay. My colleagues all agreed, even Shushi didn't argue with me, and just kept silent as a sign of agreement. Wendy suddenly screamed. Pointing at Shushi, he said, I seem to remember who you are. Chapter 27 Studying is the right thing to do. She was indeed a cheerleader, Evie. Wendy said to the brown-haired girl. I remember she was a substitute, but she probably never played, so she didn't appear in the cheerleading photos. It's normal that you don't remember her. What? This guy also said she was a cheerleader. Ivy crossed her chest and rolled her eyes. Wendy, you are the cheerleader. You have been the cheerleader for 3 years. If she had ever been a cheerleader, it would have been when? Impossible, har har har, Wendy laughed. I know the cheerleader from last year. She was a sexy blonde girl. Sexy and blonde, these have nothing to do with Shushi. My colleagues gasped, feeling embarrassed for being caught bragging. Shushi was so angry that he pushed the 2 female students away and said, what do you know? Don't talk nonsense if you don't understand. Aren't we going to Lake Charles? Let's go, what are you standing here for? Shushi glared at her colleague who couldn't help laughing. I just joined the cheerleading team for fun. Compared to playing the piano or dancing, studying is the most important thing to do when you enter school. She said indignantly, I'm not the captain of the cheerleading team, I just don't want to. Because I was focused on studying. You all know that it's easy to fail in this school, right? But I never failed a single subject. Shushi raised his chin and looked at Wendy and me with contempt, with provocation in his eyes. I ignored her and turned to talk to my colleague. Let's go. The cafeteria is not a good place to stay for long. Wendy suddenly grabbed me and said, hey, senior, please leave me your contact information. Ivy hissed and looked at Wendy in horror. I was terrified. We don't need it, right? I explained to her in English, I just happened to be back on a business trip and will not stay in school for long. Senior, please. If it's inconvenient for you at school, you can always come to me. Wendy begged. I had no choice but to agree. Ivy stared at Wendy with envy and jealousy, looking at me with something to say but stopping herself. As we were about to leave, he suddenly stepped up to catch up with us and asked, can I make a request, too? I looked into Evie's amber eyes and nodded helplessly. I remember there was a pavilion in the middle of Lake Choiseul. It is very quiet here. When I was in school here, I liked to read and study here while enjoying the lake breeze. I didn't expect to be able to come back from the business trip. I leaned against the pillar and looked at the plan this time. When I was about to fall asleep due to confusion, my cell phone suddenly vibrated. I was startled and picked up the phone in a panic. It was the boss who called. Where are you now? Pei Chen asked, I sent you a location. Come find me, or I'll find you. How could I dare let the boss come to find me, so I quickly clicked on the location and called my colleagues to come over. So fast. I haven't had enough shopping yet, and I have to work. My colleagues were a little reluctant to leave, but they still had the same sense of propriety as me, knowing when to play and when to work. It is said that the professor I am collaborating with this time has a bad temper. We looked for him according to the location given by our boss. On the way, a colleague said, although he is a well-known senior in the computer science department of H University, he is also a well-known academic lunatic. If we can't meet his requirements, he might turn hostile and refuse to cooperate with us. Then our trip here is in vain. Colleagues sighed, if we fail, the boss will scold us. No way. I said weakly, I remember that professors in the computer department are all easy to get along with. My colleague looked at me and shook his head. Ching, you are from the business school. How do you know whether the professors in the computer department are easy to get along with? I think we may end up in a bad situation when we meet for the first time. You don't even give the boss face. If it weren't for giving face to their boss, we might not have had the opportunity to discuss this cooperation. Is it so terrible? While we were wondering whether the professor would kick us out directly, we walked until we arrived at the place where the boss pointed out to me. When I walked over, Pei Qian was sitting on the sofa, his legs casually crossed, straight and slender, and his bony hands holding documents. Boss. I greeted him and Pei Qian raised his head when he heard it. He saw my eyes light up and then he coughed. Ahem, you're here, let's go. The conference room was spotless, and through the glass I could vaguely see that the professor's people were already seated inside. When he saw us, he didn't stand up to greet us like traditional partners would, but sat in his seat indifferently, with a very low mood. It seems that they are indeed difficult partners to get along with. This project is about the development of a new technology in China, which means the possibility of opening up new markets. If it goes well, the potential is still huge. We have prepared so much, of course not just for the sake of going through the motions. Instead, I hope to learn more about this technology so that it will be easier to implement it after returning to China. While I was distracted, the boss had already knocked on the door of the conference room and many people had walked in. Wait for me. I chased after him with the documents in my arms, and just as I sat down in my seat, I suddenly heard a voice calling my name. Lightly. It was the deep voice of a middle-aged man, and his country English accent was very pure. I responded subconsciously and looked up to find the source of the sound. The man was wearing a white coat, had dark eyes and grey hair. He walked towards me with a look of disbelief on his face. Oh my God. I was also surprised. Professor Lufer. Why did you come back to school? Professor Luff waved at me and we hugged. Why didn't you say hello to me? I didn't even know you were here. Yes, because of work. Before I came here, I didn't expect that the new technology was actually researched by you, the professor. In the conference room, my colleagues stared at the greetings between me and Professor Lufer with their jaws dropped, and the cold atmosphere suddenly dissipated. When I returned to my seat, my colleague next to me tugged at my sleeve and asked in a low voice, Ching, how come you know Professor Lufer? I scratched my head and explained, because I originally studied computer science, and then I transferred to the business school. In fact, I helped Professor Lufer's project team for a while before. In my impression, Professor Luff has always been gentle and kind. He is nothing like the image of an academic madman who is picky and strict as described by his colleagues. Although I had some doubts that the new project was related to Professor Lufer, after my colleague said that, I subconsciously thought that the developer of the new technology was someone else. It turned out to be Professor Luffy. After hearing this, my colleague sighed with regret. The computer department is harder to get into than the business school. Why did you suddenly switch to business school?